Chapter 499. Not knowing the situation in the capital, Ningshu felt that after such a long time, Xian Shaotian should have given up looking for Xian Hongyu. After all, it had been almost a year. They had already reached the western region. The western region was just a general term. As for where the godly doctor was, no one knew. Xian Hongyu was not in a hurry. Ningshu would ask about the godly doctor whenever he had nothing to do. Ningshu asked Xian Hongyu, "Master, do you still want to know about Shangguan Qing? "Of course." Xian Hongyu said matter-of-factly. Ningshu, she should not have asked. 11. How do you think Shangguan Qing and Xian Shaotian are doing now? Xian Hongyu chatted with Ningshu. A nation's mother was labeled as having lost her chastity. The civil and military officials would not let such a woman with a ruined reputation become the head of the harem. Shangguan Qing's situation was not very good. It depended on whether Xian Shaotian could withstand the pressure of the outside world for her. Only by withstanding the impact of reality could love grow strong. However, more often than not, love would be defeated by the cruel reality. Especially when Xian Shaotian was the ruler of a nation. To protect his throne, he had to make some sacrifices. Who knew if Xian Shaotian would sacrifice his love with Shangguan Qing? Love was an illusory and fragile thing. Even if you fell in love with someone with a look, it would dissipate quickly. It was like a mirage. What Ningshu wanted was not to have someone by his side who loved him, but to be able to live freely in the thousands of worlds. To be able to live forever, to be able to see the clouds in every world. Especially after seeing Xian Hongyu, Ningshu felt that being a single dog was pretty good. Meeting someone like Xian Hongyu, life was basically a big pain in the ass. She, as Xian Hongyu's subordinate, was already so miserable, she wondered how Shangguan Qing felt. "This subordinate does not know how Miss Shangguan is doing?" Ningshu said with a grin. Xian Hongyu sat in the carriage and used his hand to support his chin. His hair was loose, and occasionally, it would be swept up by the wind. His back was like a killer, and his face was full of bumps. This prince wishes for Shangguan Qing to be the empress forever. Ningshu glanced at him. Did he finally find his conscience? This way, they can torture each other for the rest of their lives, Xian Hongyu said. Ningshu, how wicked. Master, can you stand Miss Shangguan being with other people? Ningshu asked. This was not Xian Hongyu's character. Xian Hongyu glanced at Ningshu and indifferently said, "Of course not. Even if you want to torture each other, you still have to do it with me." There was nothing to talk about with a lunatic. Ningshu managed to find out the whereabouts of the godly doctor. The godly doctor was an old man with a white beard. His hands were trembling when he took Xian Hongyu's pulse. After taking Xian Hongyu's pulse, he gave Xian Hongyu a prescription without hesitation and asked Xian Hongyu to drink it 3 times a day. Xian Hongyu did not like this godly doctor. He came all the way here to see this godly doctor. Ningshu kept the prescription and brewed medicine for Xian Hongyu every day. He had 3 meals a day, and each meal was a big bowl, which made Xian Hongyu's face turn green. It did not seem to have any effect. Go to Jiang province. Xian Hongyu said to Ningshu. Ningshu was curious and asked, "Why are you going to Jiang province?" Xian Hongyu squinted his eyes and rubbed something in his hand. It was a bronze tiger-shaped object. Ningshu looked at the object in his hand and was stunned. If he was not wrong, Xian Hongyu was holding a commander's seal. He still has this? No wonder Xian Shaotian was looking for him. It was not only because of Shangguan Qing, but also because of the commander's seal. Ningshu rushed to his next destination, Jiang province. Running around every day, Ningshu felt that he had aged a lot. His hands were already thick, but now they were even thicker. When he washed his face, it hurt. Ningshu was confused. Xian Hongyu was already dead. Even if he had the commander's seal, what use would it be? Ningshu wanted to ask, but it was best not to ask about such confidential matters. Seeing that Xian Hongyu was no longer heading to the capital, Ningshu would add some antidote every time he boiled medicine for Xian Hongyu, allowing him to slowly recover. Xian Hongyu saw some pustules forming on his body and was surprised. That old godly doctor actually had some skills? He rushed all the way to Jiang province. Xian Hongyu used some unknown method to take over the Jiang province army. Then, using his identity as Prince Ding, he questioned Xian Shaotian. He said that the Empress, Shangguanqing Rou, was promiscuous and unfit to be the mother of a nation. He said that the Empress must be deposed, or else he would lead the Jiang province army to attack the capital. Ning Shu. Hearing Xian Hongyu's declaration, Ning Shu did not know how Xian Hongyu's face grew. The Empress was promiscuous, but how good were you? You had an affair with your own sister-in-law. You were the person involved in this story, right? You even used this reason to threaten Xian Shaotian. Where was your face? Xian Shaotian did not use this reason to kill you, but you actually said that the Empress, Shangguanqing Rou, was promiscuous. She had never seen such a shameless person. In the capital, Xian Shaotian was probably vomiting blood from anger. Shangguanqing Rou's situation was not good to begin with. She was able to sit on the Empress's seat because Xian Shaotian had true feelings for her. But Xian Hongyu did not want to see her living a good life. By issuing such a declaration, he tore open the wound that should have been covered. Ding, quest completed. Do you wish to leave the quest world? 2333's voice sounded. Ning Shu said, wait a moment. Ning Shu put all the antidote in the bowl and gave it to Xian Hongyu to drink. After drinking this bowl of medicine, the pustules on Xian Hongyu's body should disappear. Ning Shu patted Xian Miexiao's head. If Xian Miexiao could live with 11 and let 11 experience the life of a normal person, it would be good. 2333, leave the world, Ning Shu said to 2333 in his mind. This mission was considered complete. Now that Xian Hongyu had the Jiang province army and a shield in his hands, Xian Hongyu wouldn't die so easily with an army in his hands. In fact, Xian Hongyu had hidden himself well. Where did he get the commander's seal? Xian Hongyu and Xian Shaotian were both members of the royal family. Everything they did had their own goals. But poor Shangguanqing Rou, who had a free spirit, did not even understand the twists and turns. Xian Hongyu wanted to be the emperor, but the old emperor passed the throne to Xian Shaotian. Xian Hongyu was also chased out of the capital by the old emperor. Xian Hongyu used Shangguanqing Rou's matter to lead an army into the capital. Before, because of Shangguanqing Rou, the battle between the crown prince, Xian Hongyu and Xian Shaotian started. Now, because of Shangguanqing Rou, the battle between Xian Hongyu and Xian Shaotian was in full swing. Fighting for power, killing, and lust all needed a gentle mask. Shangguanqing Rou did not control the country. Instead, she became an excuse and target for men. Ning Shu felt dizzy. Goodbye, Xian Hongyu. No, never again. Chapter 500. Ning Shu was in a trance for a moment. When he opened his eyes, he was already in the system space. Ning Shu raised his hand and looked at it. He didn't consume much of his soul. In the future, the damage to his soul from doing missions should be less and less. Let's look at the points this time. Ning Shu said to 2333. Also, thank you for the fake death medicine. After Ning Shu finished speaking, a status panel appeared in front of him. Number 23333 name, Ning Shu, beginner mission taker, age, 27 points, 650, 000/200, 000 soul, 200 HP, 60 wisdom, 115 charm, 3 luck, 34 MP, 120 force, 65 faith, 113 qualifications, 31 merit, 36 skills, 5th ring spear technique, trash fighting technique, beginner level martial arts, beginner level business management knowledge honorable title, Wargid's selfless ancestor aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, model worker, Qin Shi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best friend for life, Meow. Meow Meow's blessing, fulfill 11th wish, protect the master, keep the master alive. Mission completion, 100. Obtained 200,000 points, 20 attribute points, and 3 points of faith. The mission points this time were average, and the difficulty of the mission wasn't that high. It only required her to ensure Xian Hongyu's life. Ning Shu's method was to drag Xian Hongyu far away if he couldn't win. It could be considered as barely completing the mission. The difference between two people and a country's strength was like an ant and an elephant. Ning Shu was very satisfied with the points. After obtaining 20 attribute points, Ning Shu added them to his wisdom, force, and luck. Ning Shu inexplicably felt that her character was very bad, and that her luck was always bad. Number 23333 Name, Ning Shu, Beginner Mission Taker. Age, 27 points, 850, 000 Soul, 200 HP, 60 Wisdom, 1155 Charm, 3 Luck, 3410 Spirit, 120 Force, 655 Faith, 14 Qualifications, 31 Merit, 36 Skills, 5th Ring Spear Technique, Trash Fighting Technique, Basic Peerless Martial Arts, Basic Business Management Knowledge. Honorary Title, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Sister Model Worker, Chinshi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Lifelong Best Friend, Meow Meow Meow's Blessing. After setting up the attribute values, Ning Shu sat cross-legged on the sofa and started cultivating. After he finished cultivating, Ning Shu said, "I'll go to the virtual space to take a look." Ning Shu wanted to interact more with the other task takers. He wanted to know how the other task takers completed their missions. Ning Shu felt that it was a little difficult to complete the mission now. He was still in the same place, and he didn't have many points. If this continued, when would he become an intermediate task taker? Ning Shu stood at the entrance of the virtual space and felt a strong sense of weightlessness. When he opened his eyes, he was already in the virtual space city. Looking at the bustling city, there were mission enforcers coming and going. There were so many people, but Ning Shu didn't recognize a single person. In life, it was hard to find a confidant and a lover. If he didn't have friends and lovers, then so be it. When he had friends and lovers, everyone had different thoughts. When there was friction, he had to compromise and compromise. Ning Shu wandered around the city and looked at all kinds of items. However, the exchange requirements were different. Some required points, some required merit points, and some required faith. Ning Shu just looked around. There were many things he couldn't afford. He didn't have many points to begin with, and he still needed 3 million to become an intermediate task taker. Above the intermediate task taker, there was the advanced task taker, and above the advanced task taker, there was the super task taker. As for what was above that, with Ning Shu's shallow knowledge, he didn't know. Ning Shu wandered for a while and felt that it was a little boring. There was no one he could talk to here, and he didn't know a single person. He planned to go back, but at the corner of the street, he saw a shop. The name of the shop was Affairs Consultation Room. Ning Shu thought for a while and walked into the consultation room. There was agarwood in the consultation room. Even in his soul state, when he smelled it, he felt a cooling feeling enter his soul, calming his anxious mood. Ning Shu's nose twitched as she inhaled the fragrance of the agarwood. A man walked out. He had long silver hair that was tied up. He was very tall and had fair skin. His facial features had an unusual beauty to them. His facial features weren't very good looking, but when put together, they gave off a very beautiful feeling. He had a book in his hand. He glanced at Ning Shu and said, "Have a seat." His voice was very cold. He wasn't very enthusiastic about Ning Shu as a guest, and his attitude was indifferent. Ning Shu sat across from him. The man lowered his head and flipped through the book in his hand. He didn't raise his head and asked Ning Shu, "What do you want to ask?" "I just want to ask how I can increase my points when doing missions," Ning Shu said. She felt that she had reached a bottleneck. The man raised his head to look at Ning Shu. When he moved, his silver hair reflected the silver light. The man closed the book and said indifferently, "The client offers half of his soul power, or even more of his soul. What is it for? Is it to change his tragic life and obtain happiness?" Ning Shu said, "What kind of life is considered a happy life? What kind of life is considered a successful life? Power, money, status, reputation. Achieving one of these is considered a successful life," the man said. Ning Shu looked at the man. "Can you be more straightforward? In other words, not only do you have to fulfill the client's wish, but you also have to seek a happy life for the client. Or what kind of person the client wants to be, you have to do your best to help them become that kind of person. For example, your client likes to draw and wants to become an artist. If you complete this kind of hidden counterattack mission, you will naturally have a lot of points. Power, money, status, reputation. If you achieve one of these, it will be considered a successful counterattack, the man explained to Ning Shu in detail. Ning Shu suddenly understood. So that was how it was. Sometimes she felt that her points were very high, but sometimes they weren't. However, just fulfilling the client's wish wasn't considered a successful counterattack. If your points are low, it means that the client has offered less souls. If the points are low, it means that the client isn't satisfied with your mission. She might even offer another soul and ask other mission takers to help her counterattack. Ning Shu nodded. She more or less understood. Thank you, Ning Shu said gratefully to the man. No need. The reward is 300,000 points, the man said calmly. Ning Shu? Chapter 501. Ning Shu was scared out of his wits when he heard that a few sentences would cost him 300,000 points. Fuck, why don't you just rob a bank? Isn't this reward a bit high? Ning Shu said embarrassedly. The man raised his eyebrows. You want to go back on your word? Ning Shu, so painful. Don't think that it's just a few sentences. This is the conclusion of many mission enforcers. Do you think these words aren't worth 300,000 points? The man crossed his arms and looked at Ning Shu. His posture was like an ancient British aristocrat. Ning Shu could only pay the bill. He didn't have many points to begin with. Just like that, he used up 300,000 points. Ning Shu's heart ached so much that his whole body trembled. After playing around for a while, he actually used up so many points. As soon as he left the affairs consultation room, Ning Shu felt that his soul was floating. Forget it, these points were worth it. At least Ning Shu had found a new goal to strive for. Come on, Ning Shu cheered himself on with trembling lips. Ning Shu planned to go to a restaurant and eat to relieve his stifled mood. Ning Shu turned around and walked towards the restaurant. A man in black suddenly appeared in Ning Shu's eyes. This man was tall and straight with a pair of extremely long legs. He wore a black trench coat. When he walked, the wind slightly rolled up the corners of his coat. He looked incomparably aesthetic and sexy. The man walked in front with many people following behind him. Beside him, a person was saying something to him. His expression was indifferent. Only his glasses occasionally reflected a cold light. Ning Shu almost screamed. Isn't this the school doctor uncle? Ning Shu's lips moved twice. He wanted to say something. His feet moved twice before he finally stopped. The school doctor uncle indifferently walked past Ning Shu. He glanced at Ning Shu and moved away without stopping. Ning Shu felt a chill when the school doctor walked past him. It made him feel like his soul was frozen. Ning Shu looked at the back of the school doctor, his heart full of doubts. Why did he see the school doctor in the virtual space? That time, when she was in the Sea of Law, she saw the uncle in a trance. Excuse me, who were the people who just passed by? Ning Shu asked one of the mission enforcers. The mission enforcer said, Oh, one of them is the manager of the virtual space. Someone in black? Ning Shu asked. The person who spoke is a manager. The mission enforcer looked at Ning Shu. You must be new. You don't even know this. I'm a newbie. What about the person in black? The person who spoke to the school doctor was the manager of the virtual space. Who was the school doctor? The mission enforcer looked embarrassed. I don't know. Ning Shu was speechless. To be able to talk to the manager of the virtual space, the uncle's identity should not be simple. 2333, let's go back to the system space, Ning Shu said to 2333 in his heart. Ning Shu suddenly felt dizzy. When he opened his eyes, he was in the system space. Ning Shu said, I just met a familiar person. It's the man in the black windbreaker. Do you know him? I'm just a small system. What do I know? 2333 said unhappily. Ning Shu said, Can't you use your smart search? Can't you find out who this person is? Forget it. There are too many powerful people up there. I can search just because I say I can. Maybe the system will catch me and I'll be reformatted, 2333 said. Ning Shu was speechless. Useless trash. Ning Shu did not bother about the school doctor uncle anymore. She could see that the school doctor uncle's identity was not simple. She and the school doctor uncle were not in the same class. The school doctor uncle did not know her. At most, he was just a familiar stranger. Ning Shu forgot about the school doctor uncle and opened the exchange shop. He exchanged for fasting pills, water, and medicine. Because of the lesson in the last world, Ning Shu exchanged for fake death medicine and realgar powder. Ning Shu wanted to exchange for an amulet. However, this amulet cost 35 merit points. Ning Shu was worried that the amulet would only be effective in one world. Moreover, Ning Shu felt that 35 merit points was too high. Even the system could not calculate the merit points. It must be something good. System, if I exchange for this amulet, will it only be effective in one world? Ning Shu asked 2333. Oh, this amulet is effective forever. It will be effective in any world. It can save your life, 23333 said. Ning Shu was relieved. He clicked on the exchange button and let out a sigh of relief. If he encountered any danger that he could not resist, at least he had a guarantee. I say, do you really not know who the school doctor uncle is? Ning Shu asked again. 23333 said, I really don't know. Well, when he saw the school doctor uncle, his heart was beating fast. He wanted to know who this guy was. What use do you have? Ning Shu said unhappily. 23333 responded with silence. What about your man in the consultation room? Ning Shu asked. I don't know him. I don't have permission to search. 23333 said straightforwardly. What a piece of trash. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Well, it felt like the water here was very deep. Each one was stronger than the other. She was the only one who was weak. She had to work hard to improve her strength. Not only for her safety, but also to stand firm in this turbulent Jianghu. Ning Shu took the watering can and watered the potted plant. Then, he took it to the bookshelf to read. After finishing the book, Ning Shu slowly placed it back on the bookshelf. Then, she ran on the treadmill for a while. The only regret was that she didn't have a body. She couldn't sweat at all, so she didn't have the pleasure of sweating profusely. After wandering around the system space for a while, touching here and there, he said to 23333, well, let's go and do the mission. 23,333's voice sounded. Ning Shu suddenly felt dizzy. After a while, when his soul and body merged, he opened his eyes. His body was very stiff. When he looked up, he found himself sleeping on the desk. Ning Shu stretched out her hand and placed it on her cervical spine. She moved her neck, which was so stiff that it made cracking sounds. Ning Shu's neck stiffened. She reached out and flipped her hand over to examine it. Then she touched her lower body. Ning Shu was speechless. Fuck, how did he become a man again? 23333, we need to talk about life. Ning Shu said to 23333. Your system is disconnected. Trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. Ning Shu rubbed his forehead. 23333, stop messing around. Your system is disconnected. Trying to connect to the Wi-Fi. It's not fun anymore. Ning Shu did not want to talk to this guy. 23333 said, there's nothing wrong with becoming a man. I'm used to squatting and peeing. What's so good about becoming a man? Ning Shu said. Besides, am I not a supporting female character? Why did she have to be both the female and the male lead? This time, she would not be a supporting male character, right? Chapter 502. Ning Shu had no choice but to accept the fact that he had become a man. How many times had it been? It was already the third time. Ning Shu felt that 2333 was a defective product. That was why the positioning was wrong. It was not easy to stay alive. With the addition of this system, it was simply one disaster after another. However, Ning Shu still accepted the system in his heart. When he was at his most helpless, 2,333 risked being formatted to help him. Ning Shu was very grateful, but it could not hide the fact that 2333 was a piece of trash. Ning Shu looked at his surroundings. He was in a small office. Through the window, he could see employees coming and going in the big office outside. Ning Shu felt very tired. His throat was dry and he felt light. He was very sleepy. This body probably did not sleep for the whole night. Ning Shu poured a glass of water from the water dispenser. He drank a large glass of water to relieve the dry itch in his throat. He rubbed his forehead. His temples were throbbing with pain. Feeling that his current condition was very bad, Ning Shu reluctantly began to accept the storyline. The original owner was called Su Wenlang. He was a lawyer. Soon he would have a case. He had been busy with this case for several days and had stayed up 2 nights. The main character of this story was not Su Wenlang, but Su Wenlang's childhood sweetheart, Xia Xiaoman. Xia Xiaoman was a few years younger than Su Wenlang, and Xia Xiaoman was Su Wenlang's goal. Unsurprisingly, Xia Xiaoman and Su Wenlang were able to support each other for a lifetime. They knew each other very well. Their relationship was also good. Everything in the world was a what-if. Su Wenlang and Xia Xiaoman's fates had a turning point. This person was Chu Xiaoran. This person was the CEO of a listed company. Chu Xiaoran met Xia Xiaoman one day. When he saw Xia Xiaoman again, he was holding nude photos of Xia Xiaoman. There were all kinds of nude photos of her changing clothes and bathing. Xia Xiaoman was not aware that she had been photographed. Some of the photos were even taken at Xia Xiaoman's home. Xia Xiaoman was shocked when she saw these photos. Looking at the handsome Chu Xiaoran, this person was simply a beast. Chu Xiaoran threatened Xia Xiaoman to become his woman and his mistress. Xia Xiaoman originally wanted to marry Su Wenlang, but now such a person popped out and made such an outrageous request. Of course, Xia Xiaoman wouldn't agree. Chu Xiaoran then threatened Xia Xiaoman that if she didn't agree, he would expose the photos. Then, Xia Xiaoman agreed, and Chu Xiaoran began to keep her in his house. What Xia Xiaoman needed to do was to wait in the villa for Chu Xiaoran to come to the villa. Once Chu Xiaoran came, she would do something indescribable. Chu Xiaoran was the one who had resorted to trickery. When Su Wenlang found out about this, he was determined to rescue Xia Xiaoman. However, Xia Xiaoman had no choice but to endure the humiliation. In addition, Chu Xiaoran threatened Xia Xiaoman. Su Wenlang was just a small lawyer. It was too easy for Chu Xiaoran to kill Su Wenlang and drive him into a corner. Xia Xiaoman endured everything alone. She endured her unbearable identity, endured Chu Xiaoran's contempt for her, and also endured her inner struggle. In the end, Su Wenlang died because of Xia Xiaoman. Ning Shu was speechless. After reading the story, Ning Shu was deeply drunk. She was so drunk that she couldn't take it anymore. Xia Xiaoman could still fall in love with Chu Xiaoran and end up happily with him in the end. She didn't think of calling the police even though someone took nude photos of her. Hence, Chu Xiaoran got what he wanted and continued to violate her. What's the point of being a police officer? What made Ning Shu the most speechless was that Xia Xiaoman fell in love with Chu Xiaoran. A man's love passed through his stomach, while a woman's love passed through her vagina. Xia Xiaoman fell in love with the man who threatened her and almost raped her. He was a man who didn't treat her well. Because of Xia Xiaoman's death, there was no one to take care of Su Wenlang's parents at home. The Su family and the Xia family completely fell out and the Su family moved away. Xia Xiaoman and Chu Xiaoran got married. Su Wenlang's death was just a catalyst for their relationship. Su Wenlang was just a cannon fodder. Su Wenlang's years of care and love couldn't compare to Chu Xiaoran, who treated her badly. Don't talk about love. Xia Xiaoman was suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Chu Xiaoran appeared in front of Xia Xiaoman with a despicable image. He didn't treat Xia Xiaoman well either, but he would occasionally show some warmth to Xia Xiaoman. If a person who had always been nice to you suddenly treated you badly one day, you wouldn't be able to take it and would resent and get angry. If a person treated you badly, threatened you, and forced you to do things that you didn't want to do, but if that person treated you slightly better one day, you would immediately change your opinion of that person. What a sadistic relationship. Xia Xiaoman really suffered all kinds of grievances and endured all kinds of grievances for the sake of her reputation, for the sake of not embarrassing her parents, and for the sake of her childhood sweetheart's future. Regarding this, Ning Shu could only use the word cheap to describe it. Xia Xiaoman could have used other methods to protect herself. Besides, Su Wenlang was a lawyer. Her actions would only give Chu Xiaoran a chance to hurt her. Would it kill him to call the police? Oh, it was as if the CEO was omnipotent. This was a requirement of the plot. Why did Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman have to be related to each other through such things? Chu Xiaoran was also crazy. Why did he have to use such a method? Even if he wanted to steal her, he didn't have to use such a method. Did the CEO seem high and mighty just because he took advantage of her? Chu Xiaoran's identity added a lot of points to him, and Xia Xiaoman only had to enjoy the benefits that this man brought her. On the other hand, Su Wenlong's family could only be considered wealthy. If he wanted to have a bright future, he had to work hard on his own. He couldn't be compared to Chu Xiaoran, who had a silver spoon in his mouth since he was young. His halo couldn't be compared to Chu Xiaoran. Su Wenlang had died once, and his parents were taking care of him at home. Now, he just wanted to let Xia Xiaoman do whatever she wanted. What she wanted to do with Chu Xiaoran was her own business. Ning Shu rubbed his swollen forehead. He felt very tired and wanted to rest. After taking his coat, Ning Shu took a taxi home to rest. The Su family lived in a house in the neighborhood, and they were neighbors with Xia Xiaoman. The two families had been friends for more than 20 years, and they even planned to become in-laws. When he returned home, Mother Su was watering the potted plants on the balcony. When she saw how tired Ning Shu was, she said, "Go take a shower and sleep first." Ning Shu took a nap. He didn't care about anything and just slept. Ning Shu was sleeping soundly when he was woken up by his phone's alarm. Ning Shu opened his eyes. Then his head hurts. She looked at the caller ID and saw that it was Xia Xiaoman. She picked up the phone. Before Xia Xiaoman could say anything, she started crying. The phone was filled with the sound of a woman sobbing. Ning Shu's sleepy head was about to explode. But Chapter 503. Xia Xiaoman kept crying on the phone, and Ning Shu couldn't take it anymore. He asked, "What happened to Xiaoman?" "Brother Wenlang, Brother Wenlang." Xia Xiaoman kept crying and calling Ning Shu's name, but she didn't say anything. Finally, Xia Xiaoman calmed down a little and arranged to meet Ning Shu at a coffee shop. Her house was opposite, and they agreed to meet at a coffee shop. He wanted to say no, but Xia Xiaoman kept crying and called him again after hanging up. Ning Shu could only get up from the bed, put on his clothes and prepared to leave. Mother Su was cooking when she saw that Ning Shu was about to go out again. "You just rested for a while, why are you going out again?" Ning Shu took his suit jacket and changed his shoes at the entrance. He said, "I have something to deal with. Don't work too hard, take care of your body and spend more time with Xiaoman. Why haven't I seen Xiaoman recently? Don't neglect her because of work." "Xiaoman isn't a vain child," Mother Su said. Mother Su thought that her son was working so hard for Xiaoman, who lived opposite them. Ning Shu grinned and didn't say anything. He went out. When he arrived at the coffee shop, Ning Shu saw Xia Xiaoman sitting near the window. Xia Xiaoman was wearing long sleeves, and her long hair was draped over her shoulders. Ning Shu walked over and pulled out a chair and sat opposite Xia Xiaoman. He looked at Xia Xiaoman, and her eyes were slightly red. Xia Xiaoman looked pure and innocent, and Xia Xiaoman was a well-protected and obedient girl. No wonder Chu Xiaoran liked her. She was different from the flirtatious sluts outside. But now, she looked like the female lead of a torturing novel. He didn't know how Chu Xiaoran could bear to do it. It seemed that every time they had sex, it was half-forced. "Brother Wenlang." Xia Xiaoman looked at Ning Shu, and her tears fell. Her eyes were red. Ning Shu took a tissue from the table and handed it to Xia Xiaoman. He said, "Don't cry, wipe your tears." Xia Xiaoman took the tissue and wiped her tears. She looked like she had lost all hope. She looked at Ning Shu with guilt and uneasiness. Her eyes were filled with confusion, pain, and a trace of hatred. Ning Shu took a sip of coffee, and her mind finally cleared up a little. Seeing Xia Xiaoman's twisted face, she sighed in her heart and said, "What happened?" Xia Xiaoman looked at Ning Shu, covered her mouth and cried. She sobbed, "Brother Wenlang, Brother Wenlang." Ning Shu rubbed her swollen forehead. "Why are you crying?" Ning Shu chanted the clear heart mantra in her heart. Xia Xiaoman felt that she had suffered a lot. It was so painful. "Xiaoman, I've stayed up 2 nights. I'm very tired. Don't cry. Tell me what happened." Ning Shu took another sip of coffee. Xia Xiaoman immediately stopped crying. She said to Ning Shu worriedly, "Brother Wenling, you have to take care of your body. Don't work so hard." Ning Shu nodded. She had already finished a cup of coffee and ordered another one. Ning Shu just wanted to sleep now. Xia Xiaoman's face was pale, and she looked like she was struggling and in pain. "Brother Wenlang, let's break up." "Why?" Ning Shu put down the coffee and looked at Xia Xiaoman. "We're going to get married soon. I'm not good enough for you now. Brother Wenlang, I'm sorry." Xia Xiaoman was disheartened. Ning Shu saw mottled marks on Xia Xiaoman's collar. The hickeys were a little bruised, and he could see how hard Chu Xiaoran was. Fortunately, it wasn't so exaggerated that Xia Xiaoman couldn't get out of bed. Su Wenlang worked hard day and night for the future of the two of them. He worked hard so that Xia Xiaoman could live a comfortable life after marrying him and live a happy life as Mrs. Su. He worked hard for his and Xia Xiaoman's future. However, Xia Xiaoman was already lying under another man. Even when such a thing happened, Xia Xiaoman didn't discuss it with Su Wenlang. She took on the tragic feeling of feeding the wolf with her body. She even felt that she had sacrificed herself for everyone. She was drunk. "What happened, Xiaoman? I still have a case to deal with. Are you serious about breaking up?" Ning Shu raised his wrist and looked at it. Xia Xiaoman took a deep breath. "Brother Wenlang, don't ask me what happened. I don't want to talk about it. I hate myself. Brother Wenlang, you'll meet a good girl." Ning Shu nodded. "If this is your wish, I promise you." Xia Xiaoman's face was full of tears. She looked at Ning Shu with teary eyes. "Brother Wenlang, I hope you'll be happy." Ning Shu nodded. It was ironic. Every time Xia Xiaoman was hurt, she would cry to Su Wenlang. Su Wenlang was so anxious that his heart was in a pot of oil. He would risk his life to save Xia Xiaoman from Chu Xiaoran. However, Xia Xiaoman would stop Su Wenlang, saying that Chu Xiaoran was too powerful and she couldn't win against him. He didn't know if it was because of this reason or because Xia Xiaoman couldn't bear to leave Chu Xiaoran. Xia Xiaoman had Stockholm's disease. She developed feelings for the person who hurt her and didn't want to face the problem. She avoided, forgot, and felt pain for the things that hurt her. In the end, they could still be happy together. It was just a tremor. Love was a beautiful and hazy thing. If this was love, Ning Shu could only say that this kind of twisted love wasn't beautiful at all. It wasn't desirable at all. Su Wenlang respected Xia Xiaoman, and the most intimate thing he did was kiss her. He hadn't done anything out of line for so many years. The person whom he had protected for so many years was taken away by a wolf. Su Wenlang hated Chu Xiaoran very much, and he was also angry and disgusted with Xia Xiaoman. He was angry that Xia Xiaoman didn't love herself. No amount of excuses could cover up Xia Xiaoman's foolishness and frivolity. There were clearly many ways to solve the problem, but she chose the stupidest way. What made Su Wenlang even more disgusted was that Xia Xiaoman fell in love with Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran treated her like this and humiliated her. She fell in love with Chu Xiaoran and even said that she had always treated him as her brother. When she was with Su Wenlang, her heart was very calm. She didn't feel the same as when she was with Chu Xiaoran. To hell with your heartbeat. You're addicted to being abused. Su Wenlang's wish was to take revenge on Chu Xiaoran. As for Xia Xiaoman, Su Wenlang didn't feel anything in his heart. He didn't want to redeem anything, nor did he want to see her happy. Hence, now that Xia Xiaoman proposed to break up with him, Ning Shu agreed without hesitation. He didn't want to snatch a woman from another man. The most important thing was that he didn't want to be a trash can. A trash can that would listen to Xia Xiaoman's cries whenever he was called. A trash can that hated Xia Xiaoman so much that he couldn't voice out his grievances. If there was a misunderstanding, he would rather die than say anything. Xia Xiaoman looked for Su Wenlang and cried. After crying, she returned to Chu Xiaoran's side and endured the humiliation in her heart to do what a mistress should do. Chapter 504. Ning Shu was not in a good mood to begin with. Now that she heard Xia Xiaoman sobbing and crying, she had been talking about breaking up for almost half an hour. Xia Xiaoman had been crying all this time. It was the kind of silent crying that made her feel suffocated. Brother Wenlang. Xia Xiaoman forced a smile on Ning Shu's face. I hope Brother Wenlang can find his own happiness. Please forget about me. Ning Shu replied. Xia Xiaoman's face stiffened. But when she thought of the overbearing and evil Chu Xiaoran and his ability to do whatever he wanted, she had to make Brother Wenlang leave her for his future. Brother Wenlang, I'll leave first. Xia Xiaoman stood up and stared at Ning Shu. She smiled sadly. Brother Wenlang. Xia Xiaoman did not seem to know what to say and turned to leave. Her back was filled with sadness. Step by step, she seemed to have exhausted all her mental and physical strength to walk towards an unknown future. Ning Shu finished the coffee in his cup and planned to go back to sleep. He had not been in a good state of mind, so he must have a good sleep. Ning Shu had a general direction in his heart for the mission. He would not go head-to-head with Chu Xiaoran. He was now at a disadvantage and did not have the ability to fight with Chu Xiaoran, so everything had to be done slowly. If it was so easy, the client would not have offered her soul and wanted to turn the tide of life. Not only did she want to avenge Su Wenlang, she also wanted to live a brand new future for him. Ning Shu returned home and slept. After a good night's sleep, he first practiced a peerless martial arts. After all, the original owner was stabbed to death. It was best to have some martial arts to defend himself. In the modern era, it was basically useless to practice martial arts. It was good to be able to strengthen his body and make his body more agile. The sky was already dark. Ning Shu stopped practicing and went to the kitchen to find something to eat. There was some food in the pot that Mother Su had left for Ning Shu. After eating some dinner, he began to read the information of the original owner, Su Wenling. Ning Shu had never been a lawyer. Fortunately, the original owner had done a lot of homework. He followed the order of defense and even made notes of possible situations. His mind was filled with legal provisions. Ning Shu had to flip through the legal book according to the legal provisions on the document. This case was relatively big. It was a copyright infringement lawsuit between two large companies. The law firm allowed Su Wenlang to represent them because of his outstanding ability. Su Wenlang had racked his brains for this case. Now that he was looking at such a thick document, Ning Shu was also nervous. He calmed himself down. In this world, he was a lawyer and he was going to become a famous lawyer. Therefore, a mission enforcer had to be multi-talented. Most importantly, they had to have an intelligent brain. More and more, they felt that intelligence was too important. Intelligence and martial prowess, both legs must be in the same place in order to walk steadily and quickly. Ning Shu recited these plans in his mouth. The original owner's mind was filled with ideas, so he only needed to sort them out. However, Ning Shu's mind was empty, so he had to memorize these plans. He could only cram for them at the last minute. Fortunately, there were still a few days before the court session. This gave Ning Shu enough time to prepare. Ning Shu was still memorizing the provisions when his phone rang. He took the phone and looked at it. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. It was Xia Xiaoman again. It was already midnight. Why was she calling? Ning Shu picked up the phone and said hello. Xia Xiaoman didn't say anything. She was sobbing. It seemed like she was covering her mouth and crying. Ning Shu pinched the bridge of his nose. If he remembered correctly, didn't they break up during the day? Although they broke up, Xia Xiaoman still relied on the original owner. After all, they had been together for so many years. There was no way to get rid of it all at once. She subconsciously called Ning Shu and thought of the original owner when she was wronged and hurt. She would cry to her whenever she was in trouble. However, when it came to such a big matter, she acted on her own and didn't discuss it with Su Wenlang. What did she think Su Wenlang was? When Su Wenlang found out, Xia Xiaoman had already given herself to Chu Xiaoran. Xia Xiaoman was also extremely daring. She had concealed such a big matter. Xia Xiaoman actually didn't tell Su Wenlang about their relationship for so many years. Moreover, they were going to get married. Just based on this point, Ning Shu didn't have a good impression of Xia Xiaoman. Xia Xiaoman still felt that she had sacrificed a lot and made a lot of sacrifices. She was simply compromising. What's the matter? Ning Shu asked indifferently. Xia Xiaoman still didn't say anything. She was probably covering her mouth and only the sound of her heavy breathing could be heard. Ning Shu felt that it was strange. Why is Xia Xiaoman calling me? She's not talking. It's not cheap. Ning Shu was about to hang up the phone when he heard a low and magnetic voice. "Xia Xiaoman, what are you doing hiding inside?" Then, Xia Xiaoman hung up the phone. She seemed to be very scared. That voice should be Chu Xiaoran. It could only be said that between Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman, one was willing to take the hit and the other was willing to take the hit. Ning Shu didn't care about Xia Xiaoman's matter anymore. He was busy with his lawsuit. After finishing this lawsuit, Ning Shu had new arrangements. A few days were enough for Ning Shu to memorize these things. When the court started, Ning Shu put on his lawyer's uniform and walked into the court under the encouragement of the law firm's boss. The atmosphere in the court was serious and tense. Ning Shu's heart suddenly became nervous. He silently chanted the heart-calming mantra in his heart to suppress the nervousness in his heart. Ning Shu and the other party's defense lawyer went back and forth. Ning Shu had never been a lawyer before. For a moment, he was suppressed by the other party and became more and more anxious. Taking a deep breath, Ning Shu strictly followed the original owner's plan and strictly guarded. Ning Shu felt that his back was covered in cold sweat. It was more nerve-wracking and tiring than on the battlefield. From the corner of his eye, Ning Shu saw an extremely handsome man sitting in the gallery. He had a strong temperament and his eyes were contemptuous and arrogant. This was a domineering and cruel man. At the sight of this man, 3 words immediately popped up in Ning Shu's mind. Chu Xiaoran. What is Chu Xiaoran doing here? Upon meeting Ning Shu's gaze, Chu Xiaoran raised his chin slightly and gave Ning Shu a spurious smile. However, his contempt for her was evident in his words. Ning Shu stopped looking at Chu Xiaoran and focused on his lawsuit. In the end, Ning Shu won by a small margin, because his company was the one that had been violated. If the original owner was here, she would definitely do better than her and not be suppressed by the other party. She clearly had the advantage, but it took her so much effort to win. It was necessary for her to further her studies, not only for Su Wenlang, but also for herself. If she did that, Su Wenlang's reputation as a top lawyer would be ruined in her hands. After the judge announced the result, Ning Shu wiped the sweat off his forehead, put away the documents, and left the court. As soon as he left the court, Ning Shu saw Chu Xiaoran standing there, seemingly waiting for him. Ning Shu pretended not to see him and walked straight away. The big CEO was busy every day. If he could spend so much time watching him fight a lawsuit, it would most likely be something bad. He didn't come with good intentions. Chapter 505. Lawyer Su. Chu Xiaoran stopped Ning Shu, who was walking past him without looking sideways. Ning Shu stopped and turned to look at Chu Xiaoran. "President Chu, what can I do for you?" Chu Xiaoran walked in front of Ning Shu. He was a little taller than Su Wenlang. Ning Shu felt that he was sizing her up and scrutinizing her with hostility. Chu Xiaoran narrowed his eyes. This man must be the brother Wenlang that Xia Xiaoman mentioned. When she was lying under him, Xia Xiaoman deliberately made him angry and called him brother Wenlang. Chu Xiaoran sized up this man. He had a scholarly aura and gave people a comfortable feeling. He was pure and gentle like jade, and he was good-looking. Chu Xiaoran narrowed his eyes, and there was a hint of viciousness between his eyebrows. "President Chu, what can I do for you?" Ning Shu asked when he saw Chu Xiaoran looking at him condescendingly. "Lawyer Su, do you know me?" Chu Xiaoran asked leisurely. Ning Shu said indifferently, "President Chu is famous in T-City, but you actually know a nobody like me." "A nobody? In my heart, you're not a nobody." Chu Xiaoran took out a business card and handed it to Ning Shu. "You're quite capable. It's a waste of your talent to stay in that small law firm. Come to my company and be my lawyer. The salary will be better than in a law firm." Ning Shu was a little surprised. What did Chu Xiaoran mean? Ning Shu didn't think that Chu Xiaoran wanted to promote him, and it was impossible for him to promote him. Ning Shu took the business card and was very polite and distant. "President Chu, you think too highly of me." Chu Xiaoran smiled evilly and the corners of his mouth curled up. He reached out and patted Ning Shu's shoulder. He used so much force that Ning Shu's shoulder was almost crooked. Ning Shu's expression didn't change, and he looked at Chu Xiaoran indifferently. Chu Xiaoran and Ning Shu looked at each other, opened the car door, and said to Ning Shu, "Lawyer Su, we'll meet again." After Chu Xiaoran finished speaking, he got into the car and drove away. Ning Shu lowered his head and looked at the elegant business card in his hand. He smiled faintly and tore the business card. Judging from Chu Xiaoran's reaction, he was afraid that Chu Xiaoran was dissatisfied with his identity and his relationship with Xia Xiaoman. Ning Shu would wring his brain out of his head if he said that he was appreciating him. This high and mighty attitude was a demonstration. Ning Shu knew that he didn't have the ability to retaliate against Chu Xiaoran now, but there would always be a way. Chu Xiaoran was powerful, but there would always be someone stronger than him. Back at home, Ning Shu was about to go to bed when his father, who was reading the newspaper in the living room, called out to Ning Shu. Mr. Su and Mrs. Su were both retired now, and their monthly retirement salary was very high. Moreover, Mr. Su was a director in the company. The Su family's living standards were not as high as those at the top, but they were better than those at the bottom. It was a simple and warm family. Even if Xia Xiaoman married him, she would have a good life. It was supposed to be a happy life, but it was ruined by Chu Xiaoran, and the two elders of the Su family had to send their son off. Their only son was killed because of Xia Xiaoman. The Su family and the Xia family had completely fallen out with each other. Ning Shu endured his fatigue and sat opposite Mr. Su. He asked, "Dad, what's the matter?" Mr. Su took off his reading glasses and said to Ning Shu, "When are you and Xiaoman getting married? You're not young anymore. You should settle down with the girl across the street as soon as possible. The two families know each other very well. While your mother and I are still young, we can help you." Ning Shu pursed his lips. "Let's talk about this later. I don't plan to get married for the time being." Mr. Su furrowed his brows and looked suspicious. Did something happen? Did something happen to the girl next door? "Dad, it's nothing. I'm just a little tired. I'm going to rest first." Ning Shu pinched his eyebrows, feeling mentally and physically exhausted. "I just fought a lawsuit. I'm a little tired." "Then go and rest." Mr. Su hurriedly said, "Take a shower and have a good sleep." Ning Shu picked up his clothes and went back to his room. After washing up, he sat cross-legged on the bed and began to cultivate the ultimate martial arts. Just as he entered the state, he was interrupted by his phone ringing. Ning Shu was a little annoyed. There was an irrepressible anger in his heart. He silently recited the clear heart mantra to calm himself down. He picked up his phone and saw that it was Xia Xiaoman again. Ning Shu hung up without hesitation and turned off his phone. It was so annoying. She called him every 2 to 3 days. Did it look like they had broken up? It was annoying to hear her sobbing. With his cultivation interrupted, Ning Shu went straight to sleep. It was not easy to cultivate in the modern world. There was a lack of spiritual energy and it was basically impossible to cultivate internal force. There was also the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. Ning Shu had just fallen asleep when someone knocked on the door again. In a daze, Ning Shu heard Xia Xiaoman's voice outside. "Brother Wenlang." Ning Shu felt like he was dreaming. But the knocking lasted for a long time. Ning Shu had no choice but to get out of bed. He had never been so desperate to sleep in a world. Why was it so annoying? Ning Shu opened the door and saw an anxious Xia Xiaoman. She was so anxious that her forehead was sweating. It looked like something serious had happened. "Brother Wenlang, I have something to tell you. Let's talk outside." Xia Xiaoman reflexively wanted to pull Ning Shu's hand and go outside. But when she remembered that they had broken up, she retracted her hand. "Brother Wenlang, I have something important to tell you." Xia Xiaoman looked anxious. She was afraid that Ning Shu would not go out with her. She looked at Ning Shu with pleading eyes. Ning Shu could only go out with Xia Xiaoman. When they reached the park in the neighborhood, Xia Xiaoman said anxiously to Ning Shu, "Brother Wenlang, did you meet Chu Xiaoran? Don't believe him. He is a devil who eats people whole. Don't be fooled by him." It turned out that Xia Xiaoman had such an image of Chu Xiaoran in her heart at the beginning. But in the end she fell in love with this devil. Xia Xiaoman saw that Ning Shu was silent and said anxiously, "Brother Wenling, trust me. Don't have any contact with Chu Xiaoran." "You know Chu Xiaoran?" Ning Shu looked at her. At this time, Xia Xiaoman still had not told him the truth. Now, she was saying that it was for his good. Ning Shu simply did not know what to say. Xia Xiaoman's expression froze and she looked a little embarrassed. Ning Shu said, "Brother Wenlang, trust me. I won't harm you." Xia Xiaoman was a little embarrassed. Was she going to tell Brother Wenlang that she was dirty and embarrassed now? Was she going to tell him that she was someone's mistress? She was a mistress who was always at someone's beck and call? Xia Xiaoman was now thinking about when Chu Xiaoran got tired of her and let her leave and return the nude photos to her. "Brother Wenlang, I have no choice but to do this. But you must believe Chu Xiaoran. He is a sinister and cunning devil." Xia Xiaoman looked at Ning Shu and said, "You are the person I care about the most in my life. Brother Wenlang, I don't want you to get hurt." Chapter 506. Ning Shu listened to Xia Xiaoman's painstaking advice as if she was very concerned about him. Ning Shu's heart was indifferent and unmoved. Things had developed to this point entirely because of Xia Xiaoman's own initiative. If she had been willing to discuss it with others, it wouldn't have been so tiring. Until now, Xia Xiaoman still didn't intend to say anything. She kept saying that she didn't want to hurt Su Wenlang, but what Xia Xiaoman did hurt Su Wenlang the most. Xia Xiaoman's "I have my own difficulties" look made Ning Shu unable to feel Xia Xiaoman's concern for Su Wenlang. "I'll remember what you said." Ning Shu looked at Xia Xiaoman. "You're on your own." Xia Xiaoman heard Ning Shu's words and instantly thought that he knew. Her face was pale and she stuttered, "Brother Wenling, do you know something?" "What do you think I should know?" Ning Shu asked Xia Xiaoman. "We've been together for more than 10 years, from when we were young until we grew up. What kind of existence am I in your heart?" "We're family," Xia Xiaoman said without hesitation. "I can do anything to protect you, Brother Wenlang." "Family? This is similar to how I've always treated you as my brother." In other words, Xia Xiaoman subconsciously kicked Su Wenlang out of the circle of love. There could be friendship and family, but not love. Ning Shu grinned. "I'll tell my parents that we broke up." "Brother Wenlang." Xia Xiaoman's lips trembled. "As long as you're happy." As long as the people she cared about were happy, Xia Xiaoman felt that everything she endured was worth it. The two of them were speechless. Xia Xiaoman walked in front and entered the Xia family's house. Ning Shu entered the Su family's house opposite. Xia Xiaoman turned to look at Ning Shu's back and felt that he was a stranger. She pursed her lips. As long as he was happy, it was fine. Xia Xiaoman felt very guilty towards Su Wenlang. She had let Su Wenlang down. 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 The image of Chu Xiaoran appeared in Xia Xiaoman's mind. He had an aura that could destroy the heavens and the earth. He had destroyed her everything and caused her to fall into hell. Xia Xiaoman hated Chu Xiaoran in her heart. Why did it have to be her? Why did Chu Xiaoran choose her? Why did this king-like man choose an ordinary person like her? Ning Shu walked into the house and said to the Su couple, "Dad, Mom, I've broken up with Xia Xiaoman. I won't get married." The Su couple was stunned and didn't react for a long time. It was Mrs. Su who asked first, "What happened? Why did you break up?" "I just feel that we're not suitable for each other, so I can only break up," Ning Shu said indifferently. This time, he might as well completely break up with Xia Xiaoman. It was very annoying to always be entangled with her. Moreover, Chu Xiaoran would also deal with him. He didn't have the ability to deal with Chu Xiaoran now. Isn't this nonsense? It's so childish. You two live opposite each other and see each other frequently. Isn't this too awkward? Everyone in the neighborhood knows that you two are getting married. Now that you're saying that you're not getting married, what face does the Su family have left? You've lost your friendship with your neighbor for more than 20 years. Mr. Su frowned. You grew up with the girl next door. You know her very well. Why did you break up with her? Ning Shu's lips moved. Just as he was about to say something, the doorbell rang and Mrs. Su went to open the door. Xia Xiaoman's mother was the one who knocked on the door. She dragged the pale-faced Xia Xiaoman into the living room and questioned Ning Shu angrily. "Wenlang, what did you do? Why did you break up with Xiaoman?" Xia Xiaoman felt extremely guilty. Her face turned pale and she felt very embarrassed. She glanced at the indifferent Ning Shu and dragged her mother outside. "Mom, I was the one who initiated the breakup." It has nothing to do with Brother Wenlang. I beg you. Let's go back. I'll tell you everything when we get back. Xia Xiaoman had only told her mother that she had broken up with Brother Wenlang, and the straightforward mother Xia had dragged her here. This made Xia Xiaoman feel very embarrassed. Even if her difficulties were to protect the people she cared about, if she really had to say it out loud, she would be embarrassed and ashamed. She detested Chu Xiaoren even more. He had messed up her life. She was no longer the pure Xia Xiaoman and no longer had the right to be Brother Wenlang's bride. If you have something to say, then say it clearly. Mr. Su looked at Xia Xiaoman. This isn't just between the two of you. It's a matter between the two of you and your family. It also concerns your family's reputation. Why did you have to break up? But Xia Xiaoman couldn't say anything. Tears rolled down her cheeks and she was extremely distressed. Mrs. Su frowned. Mrs. Su couldn't bear to see Xia Xiaoman cry so easily. Xia Xiaoman wasn't like this in the past. Ning Shu could only say that Xia Xiaoman was now in the mode of torturing the female lead of a novel. She was torturing the relationship and the male lead was torturing her. In any case, Xia Xiaoman seemed to be constantly hypnotized. I'm suffering so much. I'm in so much pain. Ning Shu said, we did break up. We broke up a long time ago. But Su Wenlang, you can't change your mind. Our Xiaoman has been with you for so many years. Don't you think it's too much to fall out with her just like that? Xia Xiaoman's mother said, displeased with Ning Shu. Our Xiaoman doesn't necessarily have to marry you, but there has to be a reason for breaking up. Abandoning our Xiaoman like this, I won't agree to this. Old Su, we've known each other for so many years, you can't do such a thing. Xiaoman's mother's words were like firecrackers, a string of crackling sounds. Xia Xiaoman's face turned red and tears rolled down her cheeks. Ning Shu saw this scene. From this moment onwards, the Su family and the Xia family were no longer on friendly terms. It was impossible for them to be as close as they used to be. I wasn't the one who broke up. As for the reason, I don't know either. Ning Shu said calmly, I want to ask why Xiaoman broke up with me. Xia Xiaoman's mother frowned and retorted, Xiaoman is a timid child. She wouldn't break up with you first. Xia Xiaoman wasn't a very opinionated person. It could be seen from the photo that Chu Xiaoran used to threaten her. As for Xia Xiaoman's mother saying that she was timid, Ning Shu snorted. Xia Xiaoman was bold enough to make such a decision behind the backs of the two families. She was stupid and thought that she had sacrificed a lot. She didn't think about the situation that the two families were facing. Su Wenlang even died because of her. Xiaoman, what happened? Did you break up with him? Xia Xiaoman's mother was stunned. Xia Xiaoman bit her lips tightly and nodded with a mournful expression. Chapter 507. Xia Xiaoman's mother originally thought that the two children broke up because of Su Wenlang. After all, men were more likely to get bored than women. She thought that Su Wenlang wanted to dump her daughter. But when she heard that it was Xia Xiaoman who broke up, she was dumbfounded. Why did you break up? Xia Xiaoman's mother was instantly annoyed. She felt that she had embarrassed herself in front of the Su family. Why didn't you discuss such a big matter with me? Xia Xiaoman felt exhausted. Let's go back. I'll explain it to you. I beg you. Let's go back first. Xia Xiaoman pulled her mother with all her might and walked out of the door. But, Xiaoman, why did you break up? We should know the reason, and your brother Wenlang should know the inside story. You can ask Wolf if he doesn't know anything. If you want to break up, your brother Wenlang will break up with you. You can't humiliate your brother Wenlang like this, Mother Su said with a straight face. Xia Xiaoman bit her lip and looked at Ning Shu with pleading eyes. Her whole body was trembling in fear. She was like a prisoner before her execution. Even if she really became a mistress, now that she had to remove the cover, Xia Xiaoman was so ashamed that she wanted to jump off the building. Xiaoman, tell us. Xia Xiaoman's mother was angry at her daughter. Seeing that the Su family didn't look good, she became even fiercer. You wretched girl, tell us. Xia Xiaoman burst into tears. I became someone's mistress. I'm not good enough for Brother Wenlang. I was the one who degraded myself and became someone else's mistress. Xia Xiaoman turned and ran after saying that. Everyone in the house was shocked. Xia Xiaoman's mother was shocked. She looked at the few people in the house and quickly chased after Xia Xiaoman. Mother Su looked at Ning Shu and asked, "What did you hear Xia Xiaoman say just now?" Ning Shu's expression was calm. "I heard it." Father Su frowned. "What's going on? How could such a well-behaved girl do such a thing? How could she become someone's mistress?" Mother Su looked at Ning Shu. "Wenlang, what do you think we should do? Are you and Xia Xiaoman still getting married?" Ning Shu shook his head and said to his parents, "Let's move. After we move, I want to study abroad." Mr. and Mrs. Su looked at each other. "All right," Mr. Su said in the end. Ning Shu said, "I have some money to buy a new house. Let's sell this house." Ning Shu had some savings in his hands. This was originally Su Wenlong's wedding fund, and he had been saving it all along. Mr. Su's parents were afraid that their son would be sad, so it was better for him to leave this sad place. Mr. Su said, "Keep your money. Go abroad if you want." Mother Su sighed. "How did things turn out like this?" Ning Shu asked, "Who is she working for?" "I don't know." Ning Shu said indifferently, "There's no need to talk about this in the future. Xia Xiaoman and I will not get married. We don't want such a girl who doesn't love herself," Mr. Su said coldly. "What can't she solve? Why does she have to be someone's mistress?" Ning Shu returned to his room, took a shower, and slept. When he woke up, he began to memorize the law. She had to go abroad. Firstly, it was to study and seek better development. How could she fight with Chu Xiaoran if she was not capable? T-City was Chu Xiaoran's territory, and he could do whatever he wanted here. Secondly, she did not want to get involved in Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman's affairs. Ning Shu planned to study for at most 2 years. Su Wenlang clearly had a bright future, but he fell into the whirlpool of love and lost his life in the end. After this incident, the Su and Xia families got along very awkwardly. Even if they met each other when they went out, they would not speak. The two families used to be very close. They would inform each other about any activities. Sometimes, they would go to each other's house for dinner. Sometimes, they would go to each other's house for dinner. But now, they did not even speak. In the end, Xia Xiaoman's mother pulled Mrs. Su back. Her face was red with shame as she said, "Wenlong's mother, can you not tell anyone about Xiaoman?" She had no choice. Mrs. Su said, "We won't talk about this kind of thing. It's just that your Xiaoman didn't seem like a child who would do such a thing." Xia Xiaoman's mother's face twitched. With a helpless and sorrowful expression, she said, "She also has her own difficulties. That man has hers. That bastard didn't threaten Xiaoman on her own accord. Xiaoman is also silently enduring this for the sake of our family's reputation. I know that Xiaoman is no longer worthy of your family's Wenlang, but don't tell anyone about this." Mrs. Su frowned. Why didn't she tell us about such a big matter? She decided on her own. That man committed a crime, and she agreed? Mrs. Su's face twitched. In the end, she said, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." Mrs. Su just wanted to move out as soon as possible and leave this troublesome place. Mrs. Su went back and told Mr. Su about this. Mr. Su said bluntly, "That man is rich and good-looking. If he was an old man, Xia Xiaoman probably wouldn't have agreed to it. How could she have compromised so easily?" Mrs. Su was speechless. Ning Shu heard Mr. Su's words as soon as he came out of the room. Perhaps Xia Xiaoman subconsciously agreed to it, but she still had to pretend that she was coerced to hide some of her thoughts. Seeing Ning Shu come out, Mr. Su changed the topic. Ning Shu said, "There's already a buyer for this house. When do you plan to go abroad?" "I'll go abroad after the new house is bought and you've settled down." Ning Shu had to settle down the two elders of the Su family before he could go abroad with peace of mind. Ning Shu couldn't guarantee that Chu Xiaoran wouldn't do anything to the two elders of the Su family. Chu Xiaoran stole someone else's girlfriend and even tried to kill him. He was probably the most arrogant male lead Ning Shu had ever seen. He was so confident because he thought that Su Wenlang was weak. "Okay then." Mr. Su nodded. "You can go out and relax." Ning Shu went to the law firm to resign. The boss of the law firm treated Su Wenlang quite well. The reason why Su Wenlang could fight his way to become a top lawyer was partly because of his own ability and partly because the boss treated him well. Before Ning Shu could say anything, the boss looked at him with a complicated expression and asked, "Wenlang, did you offend someone recently?" Ning Shu narrowed his eyes. "No, President Gu. Did something happen?" "Oh, why are you looking for me?" Ning Shu asked. Ning Shu said, "I'm here to resign. I plan to study abroad for a while." "Okay, I agree. But even if you don't resign, I might have to fire you. Someone is pressuring me." "Sigh, it's good to go abroad," Ning Shu said. Chapter 508. When Ning Shu heard the boss of the law firm, he instantly knew that Chu Xiaoran was the one who did it. He was using his power to oppress others. He wondered if Xia Xiaoman had done something that made Chu Xiaoran angry, causing him to act against her so quickly. As long as Xia Xiaoman did something that made Chu Xiaoran angry, Chu Xiaoran would do something to make Xia Xiaoman suffer and force her to compromise. Su Wenlang was also one of Chu Xiaoran's weak spots to threaten Xia Xiaoman, especially since Xia Xiaoman and Su Wenlang had a past. Chu Xiaoran treated Xia Xiaoman like a pet. This pet had to be loyal to him and was not allowed to have any selfish motives. He would only use Xia Xiaoman's weakness to force her to compromise and suppress Xia Xiaoman's thoughts. "Wenlang, go and write your resignation letter. This will be considered as your resignation. Being fired is not good for your reputation, especially for those in this industry. I've let you down. Those who are in this industry will always make some compromises," the boss said helplessly. Ning Shu said with a smile, "Thank you, I'll go and write my resignation letter now." Ning Shu also knew the boss's helplessness. This law firm was not very big, and people like Chu Xiaoran could make this law firm disappear with a flip of his hand. Xia Xiaoman was miserable, but Su Wenlang was even more miserable. Not only did his fiancée get snatched away, but he also became the cannon fodder of their love. From time to time, Xia Xiaoman would drag Su Wenlang out for a walk. In order to anger Chu Xiaoran, Xia Xiaoman would say that the person in her heart was Brother Wenlang. Even if he had her body, he would not be able to get her heart. She would not give in to him. When Chu Xiaoran was angry, he would also say that she still had Su Wenlang in her heart. No matter how Xia Xiaoman explained, he felt that a woman's heart was only filled with her ex-boyfriend. If he could not get her heart, he would abuse her body. He could start to communicate with her body anywhere. Ning Shu wrote his resignation letter and the boss approved it. He even gave Ning Shu a red packet. Finally, he patted Ning Shu's shoulder and said, "Be careful." Ning Shu nodded and left the law firm. Ning Shu sneered in his heart. He would remember this. It was simply annoying to meet people like Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman. Perhaps the two of them had feelings for each other, but both of them used extreme methods to test each other and even implicated innocent people. With Chu Xiaoran's tyranny and his ability to summon wind and rain, it was impossible for him to make Su Wenlang feel comfortable. Ning Shu went to apply for a visa and prepared to go to England. This was a country that was known for its strictness. He wanted to further his studies there. The only thing left was to choose a university. Moreover, not every university wanted Ning Shu. "Wenlang, can I come in?" Nanny Su's voice sounded outside the door. Ning Shu said, "Come in." Nanny Su brought a glass of milk to Ning Shu. She sat beside Ning Shu and said, "Wenlang, ever since you broke up with Xia Xiaoman, you've been calmly planning to go abroad. I don't see you being sad. Don't keep it to yourself." How could he give up on a relationship that had lasted more than 10 years so easily? That was why Su Wenlang insisted on getting Xia Xiaoman out. However, he did not know that Xia Xiaoman had fallen in love with Chu Xiaoran. "I know that there's no future with Xia Xiaoman. I'm not that sad. I just feel that it's a pity that she's not by my side after so many years of being alone." Ning Shu said calmly, "Xia Xiaoman actually doesn't have me in her heart. She agreed to marry me out of habit. She was just used to being alone. That was why Xia Xiaoman later said that she did not feel her heart beating when she was with Su Wenlang." Nanny Su could only sigh. "Go abroad and relax. Don't keep it to yourself." Ning Shu nodded. In the luxurious villa, Chu Xiaoran held a document in his hand and looked at Xia Xiaoman with a devilish gaze. "Here, take a look." Xia Xiaoman looked at the document suspiciously and took a look. It was a resignation letter. When she saw the signature, Xia Xiaoman's face turned pale. Xia Xiaoman's eyes reddened. Why would Brother Wenlang resign? Xia Xiaoman remembered that Brother Wenlang said that he loved being a lawyer and worked hard for it. However, he had resigned now. You did it, didn't you? Xia Xiaoman asked Chu Xiaoren hatefully. Brother Wenlang is innocent. Why did you do this to him? Because my little pet kept thinking about him and made me unhappy. Chu Xiaoren's expression was cold and cruel. I just gave him a name card and said that I wanted to promote him. He immediately resigned. I even wanted to kick him out of that law firm. I didn't expect him to resign first. Chu Xiaoren looked at Xia Xiaoman viciously and snapped his fingers. He then nonchalantly said, Next, shall we make a bet? Let's see if Su Wenlang will call me and ask me to fulfill my promise and let him work in my company. Is the man in your heart nothing more than this? I lost a bone and he came running over wagging his tail. I'm afraid he still doesn't know that you're my mistress. You're shameless. Why did you do this? What exactly are you after? Are you happy to see others suffer? Xia Xiaoman yelled and fell to the ground with a look of confusion. She really couldn't understand how Chu Xiaoren could be so cruel. Chu Xiaoren looked at Xia Xiaoman. You're my pet now. Don't think too much and make me unhappy. Don't forget your current identity. You're my mistress. I didn't want to be your mistress. I was forced by you. Xia Xiaoman's body trembled. Every time Chu Xiaoren called her mistress, Xia Xiaoman felt that her self-esteem was being dismembered and trampled into the mud. Xia Xiaoman bit her cheeks and said fiercely, I've been your mistress for almost 2 months. You should let me go. Give it to me. Chu Xiaoren smiled faintly, as if he had heard something funny. He touched his chin and said, I can give it to you. Xia Xiaoman was in disbelief. He gave it to her so easily. This was something she had been looking forward to, but now that it was in her hands, she suddenly felt a little lost. For a moment, she didn't know what was wrong with her. Are you really willing to give it to me? Xia Xiaoman asked. Chu Xiaoren nodded. Of course, because I don't need it anymore. I have something new. Chu Xiaoren leaned forward slightly and got closer to Xia Xiaoman. When you begged me to enter you on the bed, I took a picture of it. It's even better than a nude photo. Xia Xiaoman was dumbfounded. She felt like she was struck by lightning. She asked while trembling, What did you say? Chu Xiaoren seemed to admire Xia Xiaoman's reaction. Do you want a nude photo? I'll give it to you. Chu Xiaoren, you bastard. Why don't you die? Why did you do this to me? I hate you, Xia Xiaoman yelled at Chu Xiaoren. Chapter 509. Xia Xiaoman stared at the demon-like Chu Xiaoren with a look of despair and panic. Why are you doing this to me? What do you want from me? Chu Xiaoren, just kill me. Why would I kill you? I've said it before, you're my little pet now. I'll naturally let you go when I'm tired of you. I'm still addicted to your taste now, Chu Xiaoren said casually. Chu Xiaoren rubbed his forehead. You just have to be obedient. Don't make trouble for me when I'm tired of you. Be obedient and do what a pet should do. Otherwise, I'll have no choice but to cut off your claws. Xia Xiaoman stood in a daze and did not move. In the end, she slapped Chu Xiaoren twice as if she had gone mad. She slapped Chu Xiaoren twice with all her might and screamed at the top of her lungs, Chu Xiaoren, you're not human, you're not human. Chu Xiaoren's face was slapped to the side. He smiled evilly and touched his face. He turned to look at Xia Xiaoman and raised his eyebrows. Did I not satisfy you? Why are you so resentful? You're shameless, you're shameless. Xia Xiaoman was so angry that she cried. Chu Xiaoren, you'll go to hell. I curse you to go to hell. Is that so? I'll go to hell, but I'll die because of you. Chu Xiaoren lifted Xia Xiaoman up. Xia Xiaoman was so angry that she hit him with her fists. Chu Xiaoren, you bastard. Let go of me. I hate you. I hate you to death. You'll love me to death later. Chu Xiaoren smiled evilly and patted Xia Xiaoman's butt. Look, there's always a camera nearby. It's not bad to admire it afterward. Chu Xiaoren pressed on Xia Xiaoman's body. Xia Xiaoman was in so much pain that she felt as if she was going to die. Why did he have to torture her like this? He took her body and trampled on her dignity. For some reason, Chu Xiaoran felt very good today, especially when Xia Xiaoman struggled violently. Her face was flushed red, making her look very sexy and charming. Since you like violence, fine, I'll play with you. Chu Xiaoran looked at Xia Xiaoman, who was beneath him, and tapped the tip of her nose. Little wild cat, you're really wild. Xia Xiaoman was a little flustered when Chu Xiaoran tapped the tip of her nose and coupled with his devilishly handsome face. She immediately thought that this man was a demon and struggled violently. Chu Xiaoran, let go of me. I'm not feeling well today. Please. Chu Xiaoran smiled evilly. When have you ever felt comfortable? You always say that you're not feeling well. Chu Xiaoran, I'm begging you, I'm really not feeling well, really? Xia Xiaoman's face was pale. I'm begging you. Beg me now. Ning Shu was studying his law books at home. He had already gotten his visa, and all he had to do was wait for the new house to be bought before leaving. Ning Shu's intention was to leave T-City. Leaving T-City would be better for the two elders of the Su family. Ning Shu didn't dare to risk the safety of the two elders. With Chu Xiaoran's character, he was a rich and willful person who could do anything. However, the two elders were a little hesitant. They couldn't bear to leave the place where they had lived for so many years. Besides, they were already old and it would be difficult for them to adapt to a new environment in a new place. Hence, they were still in a dilemma. Ning Shu flipped through the book, his lips moving as he recited the law. Mother Su walked in and Ning Shu said, "Something happened to the girl next door." Ning Shu closed the book. What happened? Mother Su frowned and said, "She's already in the hospital. Xiaoman's mother is now rushing to the hospital to take care of her." What happened to the hospital? Ning Shu was a little surprised. Did Chu Xiaoran do something to Xia Xiaoman? Ning Shu thought for a while. Mom, come with me to see her. All right. Although we don't interact with each other now, we've been friends for so many years. Mother Su nodded and was still boiling soup for Xia Xiaoman in the kitchen. When they arrived at the hospital, Ning Shu pushed open the door and saw Xia Xiaoman lying on the bed, staring at the ceiling with a dull expression and tears in the corners of her eyes. Her face was as pale as a sheet and even her lips were colorless. She seemed to be seriously ill. Girl, what happened? Where's your mother? Mother Su put down the thermos and asked Xia Xiaoman, who was in a daze. Xia Xiaoman turned her head and saw Ning Shu. Her eyes were red and her lips moved. She said hoarsely, "Brother Wenling. Rest well, don't think too much." Ning Shu glanced at Xia Xiaoman. She seemed to be suffering from a great loss of vitality and excessive blood loss. She looked like a miscarriage. Ning Shu looked at Xia Xiaoman's stomach. Rest well. Brother Wenling, I'm in so much pain. Xia Xiaoman said with tears streaming down her face. Brother Wenling, what should I do? Ning Shu said calmly, it's okay. There's nothing you can't get over. Ning Shu did not want to see Xia Xiaoman's face contorted in pain. He went to ask the doctor, who said that she had a miscarriage because of intense sexual intercourse. Ning Shu was speechless. Did she have a miscarriage and lose the child? Didn't Xia Xiaoman know that she was pregnant? Ning Shu returned to the ward and looked at Xia Xiaoman. Rest well, don't think too much. Xia Xiaoman turned to look at the man beside her. He was still as gentle as ever, but they had already missed each other. Xia Xiaoman looked at the ceiling. What happened last night was a nightmare. She was in so much pain, but Chu Xiaoran refused to stop. She was pinned under his body and her stomach was in so much pain that it felt like a knife was cutting it. Her child was gone, and she did not even know about the existence of this child. Ning Shu looked at Xia Xiaoman, who was in so much pain and despair. His heart did not waver at all. Even if she hated him to death, they still ended up together happily. Xia Xiaoman was a bitch. She was hurt so badly, but she was still able to forgive him. Ning Shu did not pity Xia Xiaoman at all, no matter how much misfortune she had encountered. Perhaps it was because Chu Xiaoran had given her too much misfortune. Once Chu Xiaoran treated her better, she immediately softened her attitude and pounced on him. Brother Wenling, I don't want to live anymore. Xia Xiaoman looked at Ning Shu. I feel that living is so painful, so painful. Ning Shu asked, that man didn't come? Xia Xiaoman's face twitched and she looked a little agitated. I don't want to see him, I don't want to see him. Ning Shu comforted Xia Xiaoman and turned to leave the hospital. She was here to see how long it would take. What a sin. After Mother Su left the ward, Ning Shu shook his head and said, "This girl is too silly." As soon as Ning Shu left the hospital, he met Chu Xiaoran, who was holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. The two of them bumped into each other. Chu Xiaoran took off his sunglasses and looked at Ning Shu with raised eyebrows. "Lawyer Su, who are you here to see in the hospital?" "To see a friend." Ning Shu glanced at Chu Xiaoran's crotch without leaving a trace. It was so fierce that Xia Xiaoman almost had a miscarriage. Chu Xiaoran narrowed his eyes and his aura suddenly became fierce. "Is that so?" Ning Shu walked past Chu Xiaoran with an indifferent expression. She was not going to participate in the love between the two of them. Chapter 5:10. Wait a minute, Lawyer Su. Chu Xiaoran stopped Ning Shu when the two of them brushed past each other. Ning Shu turned his head and looked at Chu Xiaoran. He was tall and handsome, holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand. Under the sunlight, he looked extremely handsome. Many passers-by looked at him. For words appeared in Ning Shu's mind, a beast in human clothing. He relied on his power and money to take advantage of others. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and asked, "Is there anything else, President Chu?" Chu Xiaoran looked at him and said, "I heard that Lawyer Su has resigned. Have you thought about where you'll be working next?" Ning Shu felt quite speechless. His woman had a miscarriage, but he didn't care about her. Instead, he asked about her work. Ning Shu didn't think that Chu Xiaoran was concerned about him. "I haven't thought about it yet. We'll talk about the future in the future," Ning Shu said. Chu Xiaoran said casually, "I said last time that Lawyer Su can work under me. Since you've resigned, you can be my lawyer." Ning Shu felt that Chu Xiaoran's words were filled with malice. He was just trying to humiliate her and Xia Xiaoman. Ning Shu didn't get angry and said politely, "Thank you for your kindness, President Chu. I don't think I'll be working for a while." Chu Xiaoran smiled slightly, giving people a feeling of evil charm and cruelty. He was like Satan from hell, but he was also fatally charming. Xia Xiaoman should have submitted to Chu Xiaoran. Coupled with Chu Xiaoran's power and status, although such a man was hateful, he had a charm that women couldn't resist. She knew that there was a cliff in front of her and that she might be smashed into pieces, but she still jumped down without hesitation. She was like a moth flying into a flame. However, when Ning Shu looked at Chu Xiaoran, she didn't feel anything. Was it because her soul and heart had become stronger, or was it because of the calm halo and the mind-cleansing mantra? Ning Shu didn't feel anything when he saw Chu Xiaoran's evil smile. Ning Shu suspected that she had lost her sense of beauty. "Really? When you want to work, you can come and find me. My phone number is on the business card I gave you last time. Lawyer Su, I really hope you can join my company." Chu Xiaoran said, "The treatment is negotiable. I welcome capable people very much." Ning Shu smiled but didn't say anything. Chu Xiaoran turned around and left with the bouquet in his arms. He went to visit Xia Xiaoman, who had suffered a miscarriage. However, based on Xia Xiaoman's current state of mind, the two of them were probably going to get intimate again. Ning Shu turned around and drove back. Mother Su, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, said to Ning Shu, "Let's move." Seeing Xia Xiaoman like this, Mrs. Su knew that it was impossible between her son and Xia Xiaoman. Moreover, it was impossible for the Su family to take in a daughter-in-law who was someone else's mistress and had a miscarriage. When she was pregnant, she slept with a man and even lost the child. Mrs. Su used to think that Xia Xiaoman was a well-behaved child. She looked like a happy and adorable child. However, one couldn't judge a book by its cover. She did such a thing without saying a word. Ning Shu nodded. As long as the two elders of the Su family were willing to move, she would be able to go abroad to study in peace. The Su family sold the house as quickly as possible. When they were moving, Ning Shu met Xia Xiaoman, who had just returned from the hospital, in the corridor. It was summer, but Xia Xiaoman was not only wearing long-sleeved clothes, but also a thin down jacket and a hat on her head. Xia Xiaoman's face was very pale, and her eyes were dim. She looked listless, and there was an aura of sadness and despair all over her body. Xia Xiaoman was supported by Mother Xia. Mother Xia's face was trembling. She was angry and distressed for her daughter, and she also felt very embarrassed. Brother Wenlang, what are you guys? Xia Xiaoman asked Ning Shu. Her voice was weak and listless, which made people feel bad just by looking at her. We're preparing to move, Ning Shu said, and said politely and distantly, take good care of your body. You don't look very good. When Xia Xiaoman heard Ning Shu say that they were moving, her eyes showed reluctance and a trace of sadness. She felt that her life was gloomy. Her child was gone, and now Brother Wenlang was going to leave. All of this was because of that devil-like man. Ning Shu saw Xia Xiaoman's expression. He didn't know what she was thinking. Her face was full of pain and despair, which made her pale face even paler. Her eyes were red, but she forced herself not to let tears fall. Ning Shu felt speechless. People like Xia Xiaoman, you don't have to do anything to her, and she can fall into the pain she created. She can torture herself over and over again, and feel that she is in pain, very painful. Female protagonists of sadomasochistic novels are like this. They are always in pain, so painful that they want to die. They can always find things to make themselves feel uncomfortable. In this regard, Ning Shu couldn't understand at all. Ning Shu stayed in the hospital for more than 10 years. The pain of chemotherapy was unbearable. If he kept falling into pain at this time, it would definitely make him collapse. So, things have already happened. He didn't work hard to get himself out of it, and he still destroyed himself over and over again. Ning Shu felt that this guy was simply sick. Xia Xiaoman forced a smile and said to Ning Shu, it's good to move away. Brother Wenlang, I hope you are happy. You too. Nothing is more important than the body. The body is everything, Ning Shu said lightly. Xia Xiaoman didn't have any bad intentions, but she was a little self-righteous. She thought that what she did was for the good of others. She sacrificed herself to help others, but she didn't think about whether others would accept it or not. Brother Wenlang. Seeing that Ning Shu had left, Xia Xiaoman turned around and looked at Ning Shu. I'm sorry. Ning Shu curled his lips and didn't say anything. Xia Xiaoman didn't just apologize to Su Wenlang. She still had another life. But Xia Xiaoman actually got together with Chu Xiaoran, who killed Su Wenlang. Xia Xiaoman was angry at first, but in the end, she was softened by Chu Xiaoran's tenderness. In the end, she even ran to Su Wenlang's grave and said that she couldn't forgive Chu Xiaoran, but she loved Chu Xiaoran. She wanted to forget the hurt in the past and be with Chu Xiaoran. It wasn't easy to find love in one's life. In the end, she even said, Brother Wenling, I have found happiness now. Bless me. This made Ning Shu spit out a mouthful of blood. Ning Shu turned around and left. If people like Xia Xiaoman ignored him, she could also humiliate herself. But in front of Chu Xiaoran, she had a strong self-esteem. Even if we slept together, I was forced. I am a person with dignity. The Su family's new house was bought in W City, which was next to T City. Chu Xiaoran didn't have much power in W City. Even if he wanted to interfere, there were many restrictions. Now, he was hibernating to strengthen himself. Chapter 511. The Su family's new house was bigger than the previous one. Ning Shu added some money from the sale of the old house and bought a bigger house. She wanted the two elders of the Su family to live more comfortably. Su Wenlang, the person who entrusted the house, felt guilty towards his parents. He didn't fulfill his filial duty by letting them send off their children. Ning Shu wanted to fulfill his filial duty for the original owner of his body. The environment of the neighborhood was pretty good. There were many green belts and a city garden next to it. Su Wenlang spent more than half of the wedding fund that he had saved up for so long. Su Wenlang's father said that it was too expensive, but he was happy when he saw all kinds of exercise equipment in the neighborhood. There were also many old men playing chess and exercising. After the family settled down, Ning Shu started preparing to go abroad while studying the law. He had already contacted the school. What made Ning Shu nervous was that there might be a language barrier over there, and he would have to start over. He regretted not having enough knowledge when it came to using it. He felt like he was useless every time. If he started studying now, he would become a knowledgeable person one day. He would also be able to easily deal with small problems during missions. Mrs. Su made a sumptuous dinner. At the dining table, Mrs. Su kept putting food in Ning Shu's bowl. She looked reluctant and reminded Ning Shu, "Take good care of yourself when you go abroad. If you need money, call home. If you're having a hard time, come back." However, Mr. Su said, "Go abroad to train yourself. Study hard." Ning Shu accepted the concern of his parents. The next morning, Ning Shu went to the airport after his parents sent him off. Sitting on the plane and looking at the clouds outside the window, Ning Shu's mood was very calm. This was the first time she felt like she was fighting for herself during a mission. In the past, she was always thinking of ways to complete the mission. She only had the mission in her mind. But now, Ning Shu wanted to slow down and enrich herself. She wanted to learn and enrich herself. When the plane landed in the capital of a foreign country, Ning Shu started his busy studying life. Because of the language barrier, Ning Shu found it difficult to study. This is because lawyers are very strict when arguing with each other. If you don't pay attention, you will be caught by the other party. Especially when it comes to grammar in a foreign language. In order to master foreign languages as soon as possible, Ning Shu had to work as a waiter at the restaurant. Perhaps because Su Wenlang was good-looking, the restaurant accepted Ning Shu, a Chinese man. In school, Ning Shu basically didn't participate in the mock defense because she couldn't even speak clearly. Defending was simply a joke. Ning Shu was exhausted every day. If it wasn't for the fact that he had to practice martial arts every day, Ning Shu would probably be lying on the ground. No matter how busy he was, Ning Shu had to practice martial arts every day. The bones of Chinese people were smaller than the bones of Westerners. They were easy to bully, so it was necessary to have a certain level of martial arts. Only by beating the other party down would they not dare to provoke you. Furthermore, in a country where guns were legal, Ning Shu had to ensure his own safety. Some cruel people wouldn't care if you were innocent or not and would shoot you to death. In half a year, Ning Shu barely grasped a foreign language and gradually started to participate in mock defense. Of course, the defense was based on the laws of the country he was in. In the beginning, Ning Shu lost more than he won, so he could only learn slowly. Ning Shu felt that in the future, he would only add attribute points to his wisdom and martial arts. He wouldn't care about the rest. Occasionally, Ning Shu would help the Chinese fight some small cases. The remuneration wasn't much. This allowed Ning Shu to gain some reputation among the lower-class Chinese. Those who came to Ning Shu to fight cases were the Chinese who didn't have a good life. Ning Shu would symbolically collect some money. Of course, it was impossible for him to do it for free. If he did it for free, it would only make these people feel that it was natural. People always didn't care about things that they could get easily. Ning Shu had a faint idea in his heart. However, this idea wasn't mature yet and required a plan. As his learning deepened, Ning Shu had basically grasped the defense routine. This allowed Ning Shu's success rate in mock defense classes to increase. The number of Chinese who came to Ning Shu to fight cases also increased. In fact, if the Chinese fought cases in other countries, the success rate wasn't very high. After all, the laws in this country were biased towards the Chinese. Ning Shu could only try his best to win this kind of biased case that hadn't even been heard yet. Now, Ning Shu's mind was only filled with the law. The law. It was as if he had been possessed. This was the first time Ning Shu was so obsessed with something other than cultivating peerless martial arts. In the process of arguing, it wasn't just a test of one's reflexes and courage. More importantly, it was a test of one's calm heart. No matter what the situation was, one had to maintain rationality in order to turn defeat into victory. Ning Shu realized that in the process of arguing, Ning Shu didn't even need to chant the clear heart mantra to ensure his inner peace. As Ning Shu went to court more and more, many Chinese people asked Ning Shu to represent them. Ning Shu politely rejected them. He usually only represented the Chinese. Ning Shu also received an invitation from the embassy in China, asking Ning Shu to become the embassy's lawyer and deal with the Chinese who came to the embassy for help. Ning Shu gladly accepted this job. The embassy in China was backed by the country. It was absolutely glorious to have this work experience on his resume. The country's weapon couldn't be shown to others. Ning Shu didn't believe that Chu Xiaoran's ability could be stronger than the country's. In addition, Ning Shu used his own money to invest in a Chinese restaurant. The head chef was a man whom Ning Shu had helped in a lawsuit. Although he won the lawsuit by a narrow margin, he lost his job. Ning Shu invested in a Chinese restaurant for the couple. The business was pretty good. In addition, Ning Shu was the embassy's lawyer, so there were very few people who found trouble with the restaurant. Some people dared to bully the Chinese, but they didn't dare to openly go against the embassy and the country. This allowed Ning Shu to earn money. Ning Shu was pleasantly surprised that the money increased each time. After a period of time, Ning Shu actually had a lot of money in his hands. Ning Shu originally planned to return to China in 2 years, but it was delayed to 3 years. The stronger his foundation here, the easier it would be to deal with Chu Xiaoran when he returned. Ning Shu was now thinking about working hard in the embassy. He wanted to try his best to win the lawsuit for the Chinese who came to him for help under extremely unfair circumstances. When the 3 years were up, Ning Shu returned to China with a recommendation letter from the embassy. This recommendation letter was stamped with the embassy's seal and was more valuable than anything else. It represented the government's recognition of him. After getting off the plane, Ning Shu went home first. First, he comforted Mother Su, who had been crying for a long time. Then, he said to Father Su, who was holding back his excitement, "Dad, I'm back." "It's good that you're back." Father Su nodded. Mother Su prepared a lot of food for Ning Shu. She kept saying that Ning Shu had suffered outside and told Ning Shu to eat more. Ning Shu ate all the food that Mother Su gave her. However, when Ning Shu saw that the 2 elders of the Su family were in good health, she heaved a sigh of relief. Although the 2 elders kept saying that everything was fine when they called, Ning Shu was still a little worried. Chapter 5:12. Because of the jet lag, Ning Shu was dispirited for several days. After he recovered, Ning Shu planned to go to T-City. When Mother Su heard that her son was going to T-City, she quickly asked, "Are you going to see Xia Xiaoman?" Ning Shu was a little stunned. "Mom, I almost forgot. I'm going back to see my former boss and some colleagues. It's fine even if I see Xia Xiaoman." When he was abroad, Ning Shu did not pay attention to the matter between Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman, nor did he have any channels to find out. The main purpose of returning to T-City this time was to find out how the 2 of them were doing. After about a few hours of driving, Ning Shu returned to T-City. First, he went to visit the boss of the law firm. The 2 of them also went to have a meal. The boss asked Ning Shu, "What are your plans this time?" Ning Shu could tell that the boss did not want to invite him back to the law firm, which meant that he still had scruples in his heart. Ning Shu said, "I have some money on hand, and I plan to open a law firm." The boss nodded and looked a little disappointed. "You're a good lawyer. It's a pity. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Where do you plan to open the law firm?" "T-City," Ning Shu said. The boss frowned. "You may not be able to walk in T-City. Besides, the 2 of us will really become rivals in the same industry." "We can cooperate," Ning Shu said. "Wen Lang, someone is pressuring you behind your resignation. Why do you still want to stay in T-City? It's the same in other cities." The boss said. On the one hand, it was because there were indeed people who wanted to deal with Wen Lang. On the other hand, he did not want a competitor to appear. Ning Shu just shook his head and did not speak. After the meal, Ning Shu went to find out more about Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman. In 3 years, Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman's relationship changed from underground to public. Xia Xiaoman changed from a mistress to a girlfriend. Occasionally, Chu Xiaoran would take Xia Xiaoman to parties. However, there were still a lot of problems between the 2 of them. Chu Xiaoran was the kind of man that all women wanted to get close to. Naturally, there would be a lot of women around him. It was as if they were trying to plot against him. These women naturally framed and mocked Chu Xiaoran's real girlfriend, Xia Xiaoman. These women deliberately got intimate with Chu Xiaoran or rolled around together to make Xia Xiaoman sad. Xia Xiaoman was the kind of person who would not voice out her grievances and would only feel sad on her own. She would then ignore Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran was infuriated by her behavior. He then forced Xia Xiaoman onto the ground and began to move passionately. Xia Xiaoman felt even sadder. Chu Xiaoran had already slept with another woman, and he still wanted to take her body. Anyway, The two of them were extremely awkward. They seemed to have feelings for each other, but they were also hurting each other. No, it was more like Chu Xiaoran was hurting Xia Xiaoman emotionally and physically. But even so, Xia Xiaoman still stayed by Chu Xiaoran's side for 3 years. Her body and mind were damaged. Every time Xia Xiaoman was hurt and decided to leave, Chu Xiaoran would tie her up and bring her back. There was nothing that could not be solved with one round of sex. If there was, they would do it twice. That was how Xia Xiaoman and Chu Xiaoran got along. Then they would start a period of sweet times. Not long after, some other women would come out and make Xia Xiaoman sad again. The cycle repeated itself endlessly. Ning Shu let out a long breath. Damn it, I feel so tired just hearing about it. Are these two not tired at all? Ning Shu shook his head. Ning Shu did not sympathize with Xia Xiaoman at all. Chu Xiaoran had hurt her so much, but she could not bear to leave him. Who else would she hurt if not you? Su Wenlang was really miserable. Every time Xia Xiaoman got hurt, she would come to Su Wenlang and cry. She would cry and ask Su Wenlang to take her away. She could not stand it anymore and would come to Su Wenlang for treatment. After her injuries were healed, she would return to Chu Xiaoran's side. After understanding these things, Ning Shu did not pay attention to the two of them anymore. Seeing them hurt each other so much, Ning Shu was very happy. Ning Shu began to set up her own law firm. She chose a better location. For the time being, she was the only one in the law firm. She hired a young girl who would serve tea and organize documents. It was impossible to receive a big case right from the start. Ning Shu went to T-City's government and took out the recommendation letter from the embassy. She said that she planned to set up a law firm and that the law firm would be a semi-profitable charity organization. The law firm would provide free legal advice for people who were in financial difficulties. Ning Shu wanted to inform the government in advance. The government supported such organizations. With the recommendation letter from Ning Shu's embassy, Ning Shu was able to get a business license very quickly. It was really not easy to set up a law firm on her own. Ning Shu contacted the embassy's lawyer and said that if anyone returned to China, they could come to her law firm to take a look. Ning Shu invited many people to attend her opening ceremony. Ning Shu did not expect that there would be people from the government who would attend the opening ceremony. In fact, it could be said that the law firm was backed by the government. In the beginning, only people who heard that the law firm would be free came to the law firm. Ning Shu verified the family conditions of these people. If they were really poor, Ning Shu would keep her promise and free the law firm. After a while, they gained some reputation. A few more lawyers came to the law firm, and it looked like they were on the right track. Ning Shu occasionally went back to attend banquets to expand her network. She would meet Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman. Xia Xiaoman was wearing an expensive gown and dazzling jewelry. She had a blissful look on her face as Chu Xiaoran held her arm. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and looked at the high-spirited Chu Xiaoran. Various thoughts flashed through his mind. Chu Xiaoran felt that someone was looking at him with a scrutinizing gaze. There was also a hint of hostility. Chu Xiaoran turned around and saw Ning Shu. He was stunned for a moment and pulled Xia Xiaoman over to Ning Shu. Xia Xiaoman was confused at first. When she saw Ning Shu, a trace of uneasiness flashed across her face. She wanted to pull her hand out of Chu Xiaoran's hand, but Chu Xiaoran grabbed it tightly. "Lawyer Su, it seems that we haven't seen each other for a long time." Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu and narrowed his eyes slightly. This man looked more mature than before, as if he had settled down. Chu Xiaoran actually felt that he could not see through him. This feeling made Chu Xiaoran very unhappy. He originally thought that this man would come to him and beg him to give him a job, but he did not expect that he would disappear for so long. Now that he saw this man again, Chu Xiaoran felt unhappy and uneasy. Ning Shu glanced at Xia Xiaoman, who had exquisite makeup, and said to Chu Xiaoran, "It seems to have been quite a long time. President Chu, how have you been?" Chu Xiaoran looked at the calm Ning Shu and reached out to hold Xia Xiaoman's shoulder. He said to Ning Shu provocatively, "Let me introduce you to my girlfriend, Xia Xiaoman." Chapter 5:13. Chu Xiaoran introduced Xia Xiaoman to Ning Shu. Was there a need for an introduction? Su Wenlang and Xia Xiaoman had known each other for more than 10 years and had spent more time together than the two of them. Chu Xiaoran did it on purpose. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows and reached out his hand to Xia Xiaoman calmly. Hello. Xia Xiaoman's face flashed with sadness when she saw her brother Wenlang's reaction, but she still reached out to shake hands with Ning Shu. However, Chu Xiaoran grabbed Ning Shu's hand first. Chu Xiaoran held Ning Shu's hand tightly. Seeing that Ning Shu was expressionless, he tightened his grip. Ning Shu smiled calmly and held Chu Xiaoran's hand tightly. Chu Xiaoran's expression changed immediately and he let go of Ning Shu's hand. Chu Xiaoran's eyebrows were filled with anger and displeasure, but there was a sinister smile on his lips. Lawyer Su, you're really an interesting person. Let's keep in touch with each other in the future. I like interesting people like you. Ning Shu nodded. We'll definitely keep in touch with each other in the future. Even Xia Xiaoman could feel that the atmosphere between the two of them was not quite right. She pulled Chu Xiaoran away. The moment Chu Xiaoran turned around, his face became extremely sullen. His face turned black, and his eyes were filled with coldness, anger, and prying. He said sharply to Xia Xiaoman, "Are you very happy that your old lover is back?" Xia Xiaoman staggered twice and looked at Chu Xiaoran in disbelief. How can you say that? I didn't think so at all. Don't slander me. You keep glancing at your old lover and you still say that there's nothing between you and him? Do you think I'm blind? Are you trying to rekindle your old flame? Chu Xiaoran's expression was full of contempt and sarcasm. Xia Xiaoman was hurt by the expression on Chu Xiaoran's face. Why did Chu Xiaoran always say such hurtful words without restraint? Ning Shu took a glass of red wine from the table and sipped it while looking at Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman. Previously, the atmosphere between the two of them was quite good, but now, they seemed to be in conflict again. Xia Xiaoman had a bitter expression on her face, as if she had suffered a great grievance. She looked like a little wife who had been bullied, which made people feel suffocated. If Ning Shu considered himself a man, he would definitely not like Xia Xiaoman with such a bitter face. Xia Xiaoman was clearly happy before. At least, she was happy when she was with Su Wenlang. But now, Xia Xiaoman was no longer happy, only pain and helplessness after being destroyed. If this was what Xia Xiaoman thought of as love, Ning Shu had nothing to say. Ning Shu finished the red wine and turned to leave. During this period of time, Ning Shu was not only busy with the law firm, but also took time to visit the two elders of the Su family. Currently, the law firm was in a relatively idle state, and more people came to consult for free. Brother Wenlang. When Ning Shu lowered his head to look at the documents, he heard Xia Xiaoman's voice and thought it was an auditory hallucination. Ning Shu looked up and saw Xia Xiaoman. He asked, "How did you find this place?" Xia Xiaoman smiled and looked at the surrounding environment. She said to Ning Shu happily, "Brother Wenlang, congratulations on having your own law firm." Ning Shu nodded and asked, "Why are you here? How did you find this place?" Brother Wenlang, you probably don't know that your law firm is already very famous. I just asked around a little and found out, Xia Xiaoman said with a light tone, as if she was happy for Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't think that Xia Xiaoman was here to talk to her about this. Ning Shu poured a glass of water for Xia Xiaoman and asked indifferently, "Why are you here this time?" Xia Xiaoman saw that Ning Shu's attitude was cold and looked a little hurt. She asked, "Brother Wenling, do you still blame me in your heart?" Ning Shu did not know what Xia Xiaoman meant. "Brother Wenlang, I know that I let you down. We should have gotten married, but because of me, I made you sad. Brother Wenlang, I'm sorry." Xia Xiaoman's face was filled with guilt and helplessness. Ning Shu shook his head. "Those are all things in the past. I don't take it to heart. You will also have your own happiness. We're both passers-by in life." Ning Shu was very impatient. Why did Xia Xiaoman come all the way here to say something? Ning Shu felt that Xia Xiaoman was quite silly to come all the way here. If Chu Xiaoran knew about this, he would give her another round of abuse. Chu Xiaoran's punishment method was to make her unable to get out of bed. It seemed that this punishment method actually made Xia Xiaoman happy. "What exactly do you want from me?" Ning Shu pinched the space between his eyebrows and asked. He really did not want to see Xia Xiaoman's bitter face. Seeing her guilty look made him feel bad. Xia Xiaoman always said sorry, but it did not mean that she really knew that she was wrong. Xia Xiaoman just habitually said sorry. As for what she was thinking in her heart, no one knew. Brother Wenlang. Xia Xiaoman bit her lips tightly. She looked like she wanted to say something but found it difficult to speak. Her face was so twisted that it was unbearable to look at. Ning Shu wiped his face and did not look at Xia Xiaoman's face. Tell me, what's the matter? Brother Wenlang, please help me. Xia Xiaoman seemed to have thrown caution to the wind and said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu's body trembled and he looked at Xia Xiaoman. Is she here for my help? Brother Wenlang, I'm really tired. I want to leave Chu Xiaoran. I'm already exhausted. Xia Xiaoman wanted to grab Ning Shu's hand and beg him, but Ning Shu dodged. Leave if you want, Ning Shu said calmly. What's the point of telling me? Xia Xiaoman shook her head and looked bitter. Brother Wenlang, this matter is not that simple. Chu Xiaoran not only has my nude photos, but also the video. Ning Shu looked surprised and asked, You're already boyfriend and girlfriend now. Why didn't he give these to you or destroy them? Ning Shu's lips twitched. Looking at Xia Xiaoman's tired face, there were only 2 words in his heart. Serves you right, serves you right. Xia Xiaoman's inaction allowed Chu Xiaoran to bully her without any worries. She never thought of resisting and silently endured it. If he didn't bully her, who would he bully? It was intolerable if he didn't bully her. Now, he's here to ask me for help again. Ning Shu felt that this guy is here to trick me again. She was infinitely tolerant towards the male lead, but the unlucky ones were always the ones who were nice to her. She really treated the male lead as her first love even if he tortured her thousands of times. She was simply too cheap. Ning Shu hated Xia Xiaoman very much. He didn't give me the things. Xia Xiaoman looked at Ning Shu. Brother Wenlang, I want you to help me fight a lawsuit and help me get these things back. Ning Shu didn't even look up and said calmly, This lawsuit is not easy to fight. Since you're boyfriend and girlfriend, Chu Xiaoran can be said to be your romantic interest. If you really want to leave Chu Xiaoran, you can just leave. Why go through so much trouble? Chapter 5:14. She should have used this method when the nude photos were exposed, but she chose to compromise. It wasn't so easy to deal with the matter now. Besides, Ning Shu didn't intend to help her at all. If she did, she would be busy with Xia Xiaoman's matter and risk being killed by Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman bickered and rolled around together, but decided not to break up. He was speechless. Given Xia Xiaoman's character, she would definitely do such a thing. Brother Wenlang, please help me. Xia Xiaoman begged Ning Shu. I must leave Chu Xiaoran. He doesn't love me at all. He has been toying with me. I'm really tired. Ning Shu was speechless. Get lost. She had endured it for so many years and was extremely determined now, but she still went back after Chu Xiaoran hooked her. Xia Xiaoman was crazy. Ning Shu said calmly, I can't help you with this matter. You need evidence to file a lawsuit. Besides, what crime are you going to sue Chu Xiaoran for? Xia Xiaoman was at a loss for words. Ning Shu said, If you're really determined to leave Chu Xiaoran, just leave and don't care about anything else. Don't care about the nude photos and disappear from Chu Xiaoran's side. No, Xia Xiaoman retorted. But there are photos and videos. Chu Xiaoran will release them as soon as I leave. Brother Wenlang, I'm scared. Also, I can't let my parents be mocked because of me. See, Xia Xiaoman subconsciously didn't want to leave Chu Xiaoran, which was why she found all kinds of reasons. Even if she vowed to break up with him now, it was most likely because Chu Xiaoran had done something to upset her. She would naturally forgive him after some time and be lovey-dovey with him again. Xia Xiaoman would forgive Chu Xiaoran easily. As long as Chu Xiaoran was more attentive and did 1 or 2 romantic things, Xia Xiaoman's attitude would soften. Xia Xiaoman's words couldn't be trusted, especially when she said that she wanted to leave Chu Xiaoran. Ning Shu did not believe that Chu Xiaoran would release the photos and videos. With Chu Xiaoran's chauvinism, would he allow others to observe his woman's body? Especially the video of them having sex. It would be strange if it was released. Only Xia Xiaoman would believe it. Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman subconsciously used these things to bind each other. Ning Shu only wanted to say that she was sick in the head. How could this be called love? She was hurt all over, yet she was still talking about how difficult it was to obtain happiness. She was simply drunk. Then, Brother Wenlang, I'll leave first. Xia Xiaoman looked depressed. She suddenly thought of something and said to Ning Shu, Brother Wenling, let me treat you to dinner to welcome you. Ning Shu waved his hand. Just as he was about to speak, he saw a group of people with sticks and knives walking into the law firm aggressively from the corner of his eye. Without saying a word, they slashed and smashed everything. The people in the law firm were shocked. Xia Xiaoman was so scared that her face turned pale. She hid behind Ning Shu and grabbed Ning Shu's clothes tightly. Ning Shu sneered, took off his suit jacket, and walked towards the gangsters. Xia Xiaoman pulled Ning Shu, shook her head and said, Brother Wenlang, don't go over. It's too dangerous. Ning Shu shook off Xia Xiaoman and walked over to a gangster who was smashing things. He kicked him, snatched the stick from his hand, and hit him in the leg. The gangster screamed in pain and fell to the ground, unable to get up. Ning Shu walked towards the other gangsters with the stick. When the gangsters saw Ning Shu's murderous aura, their faces became weak and they wanted to run away. Ning Shu closed the door directly, smashed things and wanted to run away. The gangsters who looked strong but were weak in reality were not Ning Shu's opponents. They were all beaten to the ground by Ning Shu. Ning Shu stepped on the gangster leader's chest and said, How dare you come to the law firm to make trouble and provoke people who play with the law? Believe it or not, I will put you in jail. Let me go, or our boss will show you. The gangster bluffed and shouted at Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled indifferently. He raised the stick and hit the gangster's arm. When the stick hit the gangster's arm, a clear sound of bone cracking could be heard. The gangster let out an inhuman cry. Ning Shu threw the stick, clapped his hands and said to the somewhat sluggish staff, Call the police. Today, no one who smashed things can escape. Boss, you're too domineering. The little sister who sorted out the documents immediately called the police. After a while, a police car came and took these gangsters away. Ning Shu arranged a lawyer to deal with this matter. He said to the lawyer, The more serious the better. The lawyer nodded, indicating that he understood. Ning Shu felt a little hot. He unbuttoned his shirt. Seeing Xia Xiaoman staring at him, he said, Aren't you going to leave? Oh. Xia Xiaoman recovered and said, Brother Wenlang, I didn't know you could fight so well. One person beat all the gangsters down. Ning Shu casually said, I practiced abroad. Xia Xiaoman saw that the law firm was in a mess. It wasn't good for her to stay here, so she could only leave. Ning Shu narrowed her eyes slightly. It was too obvious who was the culprit today. Xia Xiaoman had just arrived and something like this had happened. The naive Xia Xiaoman probably didn't know that she was being monitored. Chu Xiaoran was warning her. Ning Shu smiled. Did Chu Xiaoran really think that he was so great that he could do whatever he wanted? After this incident, the law firm was relatively peaceful. There were no other gangsters who came to make trouble. The previous gangsters were charged with all the crimes that could be added, such as breaking into private property, maliciously hurting others, robbery. Anyway, these people would not be able to make a comeback. If they were greedy and came to make trouble, they had to think about the consequences. Su Wenlang died in the hands of gangsters. Sometimes, these gangsters were a very good tool. Su Wenlang's death had no effect on Chu Xiaoran at all. Chu Xiaoran was still the CEO and was still high and mighty. Towards Xia Xiaoman, Ning Shu only had disgust in her heart. This woman's stupidity was simply unbearable. Her naivety was unbearable. Moreover, Xia Xiaoman only had naivety and no sweetness. She always had a bitter face. Ning Shu went to the city government. Under the government's invitation, he became a lawyer. The law firm was actually considered to be the government's. T-City needed this to establish a good image. Of course, Ning Shu was also the boss of the law firm. Ning Shu had wanted to get on this line since a long time ago. Chu Xiaoran treated her like this, so she had to return the favor. Previously, she thought that her strength was not very strong and the chances of winning against Chu Xiaoran were not high. Now that Chu Xiaoran was bullying her, Ning Shu felt that there was no need for her to hide. Chapter 515. With the support of the government, Ning Shu's law firm gradually got on the right track and slowly gained a foothold in T-City. This was the difference between working alone and having support. Ning Shu was supported by more than one person. Ning Shu had fought many cases for free, but the law firm was still profitable. Ning Shu was now the person the government pushed out to deal with the people who needed legal aid. As long as the bottom line was not crossed, Ning Shu's law firm would slowly start to grow. Ning Shu could now attend some high-end banquets, which meant that her social status was slowly rising. Ning Shu felt that even if the final mission was not completed, he had reversed a beautiful life for the original owner of this body and was now on equal footing with Chu Xiaoran. Ning Shu felt very carefree. During the banquets, Ning Shu would occasionally meet Chu Xiaoran. When Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu, he was a little strange. "You're quite good at fishing for fame. You've even become a philanthropist." Ning Shu had a smile on his face. "Even if I'm fishing for fame, I've done it." Chu Xiaoran had a strong temperament. When his eyes met with Ning Shu's, a cruel smile appeared between his eyebrows. "You're really an interesting person." "You're interesting too." Ning Shu held a red wine glass and clinked it with Chu Xiaoran's. "Here's to you." Chu Xiaoran's pupils constricted. He raised his head and drank the red wine. Looking down at the wine glass in his hand, Chu Xiaoran was a little afraid of this man. He had only symbolically made a move, but he was already warned. What kind of background did this man have? Chu Xiaoran had a smile on his face. Ning Shu said, "We may work together in the future." "There will definitely be a chance to work together." Ning Shu nodded and said affirmatively. Chu Xiaoran glanced at Ning Shu and turned to leave. Ning Shu looked at Chu Xiaoran's back with an indifferent expression. Chu Xiaoran and Ning Shu both understood that there was a deep hatred between them. Although they appeared polite on the surface, they were actually thinking about how to destroy each other and make it impossible for them to recover. Chu Xiaoran relied on his power to take advantage of the situation. Now that he no longer has the capital to take advantage of the situation, let's see what he can do. Chu Xiaoran was the one who made things difficult for Ning Shu when the hooligans smashed up his shop previously. Ning Shu also made things difficult for Chu Xiaoran. This time, Ning Shu acted as the lawyer for the tax bureau and followed the tax inspector to Chu Xiaoran's company to check the accounts. Chu Xiaoran's company was very big, and it was one of the largest in T-City. In order to show how awesome Chu Xiaoran was, he even said that he dominated T-City's economy. He even said that the economy of T-City would be shaken by a stomp of his feet. No one in T-City was a match for Chu Xiaoran. All of them prostrated themselves before Chu Xiaoran and the business tycoons, wagging their tails and begging for mercy. Chu Xiaoran gave them food to eat, but these businessmen seemed to only have food to eat. Awesome to the heavens. In response, Ning Shu simply smiled faintly. Ning Shu looked up at the towering skyscraper and rubbed his neck. How much did this building cost? Ning Shu followed the tax inspector into Chu Xiaoran's company. Chu Xiaoran did not appear, and instead he got his secretary to receive the tax inspector. For a big company like Chu Xiaoran's, there were many people in the finance department who did a good job with the accounts. Even if there were any loopholes, they would deliberately let the tax inspector find out. After paying a fine, everyone would just brush it aside. Ning Shu sat at the side and watched as these people checked the accounts. This time, they checked very carefully, and their attitude was very different from before. They were very serious. If there was anything wrong, the auditors would get to the bottom of it. Chu Xiaoran's secretary could tell that something was amiss. The Chu family's company had always paid a lot of taxes. It was just a routine audit, and these small loopholes were just for the auditors to gain some benefits. However, now that they were so serious, Chu Xiaoran's secretary immediately informed Chu Xiaoran to let him handle this matter. When Chu Xiaoran arrived, he saw Ning Shu leisurely sitting on the sofa and drinking coffee. Chu Xiaoran glanced at the tax inspectors and walked over to sit opposite Ning Shu. He raised his eyebrows and said, "Lawyer Su, you're not only a lawyer, but also an accountant? It's not easy to survive in this society. One more skill means one more mouthful of food," Ning Shu said as he took a sip of coffee. Chu Xiaoran narrowed his eyes and looked at Ning Shu. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly and he looked casual. It was as if he was smiling, but no one could tell what he was thinking. However, Ning Shu knew that this bastard must be thinking of ways to kill a flea like her. Ning Shu also suspected that Chu Xiaoran was involved in the underworld and had a group of underlings who challenged the country's laws. These seemed to be trivial matters, but they might be the last straw that broke the camel's back. In the end, the tax inspector found a loophole, but the people in the finance department couldn't do anything about it. Ning Shu immediately said, "President Chu, please explain yourself. Otherwise, you'll be accused of tax evasion." Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu, who didn't hide the gloating in his voice. A murderous look flashed in Chu Xiaoran's eyes, and he said to the tax inspector indifferently, "I'll explain this matter clearly to the tax bureau. You can leave now." Ning Shu took out an indictment and said, "President Chu, you'd better explain yourself. Otherwise, you'll be sued for tax evasion. It won't be good for you to go to court." Chu Xiaoran sneered. "You've prepared in advance and are targeting me? Look at what you're saying. I'm a lawyer. In this line of work, I have to be thorough," Ning Shu said with a smile. Chu Xiaoran stared at Ning Shu and suddenly smiled. This smile was cold and murderous. Ning Shu was hit in the face. "You're not bad. I misjudged you previously. Thank you for the compliment." "You're not bad yourself," Ning Shu said without changing his expression. In the end, Chu Xiaoran was fined 5 times the amount of money he couldn't explain. Although it was nothing to Chu Xiaoran, he felt that he had been offended. In fact, some of the accounts were unclear. He didn't care about it in the past, but when he did, it was too much for Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran's company monopolized many industries, and many companies were just picking up the leftovers behind Chu Xiaoran. Therefore, Chu Xiaoran had a lot of power in T-City. Ning Shu put away the indictment and planned to leave. Chu Xiaoran stopped Ning Shu. "Lawyer Su, it's my girlfriend's birthday this weekend. Xiaoman is holding a banquet. You should come too." He even used Xia Xiaoman to attack him. To Ning Shu, Xia Xiaoman was just a stranger that he hated. Even if Xia Xiaoman died in front of him, Ning Shu wouldn't even blink. He wanted to use Xia Xiaoman to provoke him. Ning Shu thought, "I'm a cute girl at heart and don't like women." Ning Shu said faintly, "I have a date this weekend. I won't be going to your girlfriend's banquet." Chu Xiaoran said, "I heard that you and Xiaoman have known each other for many years. You should go to her birthday party. Xiaoman and I both welcome you." Ning Shu pulled out his memory. In Su Wenlong's memory, Xia Xiaoman's birthday was more than a month away. Her birthday was celebrated so soon? It was probably Chu Xiaoran's impromptu decision to poke at her heart. Chapter 5:16. He probably invited her to the banquet to watch the two of them flaunt their love for each other. Ning Shu's expression remained unchanged. "I've been a little busy recently. I still have to go to various companies to check their accounts. I'm not as lucky as you, Xiao Chu, who can count money while lying down. Xiao Chu, do the accounts properly next time. Also, you'll really be sued next time." Ning Shu turned around and left after saying that. What banquet? It was just Chu Xiaoran trying to show off to her. Ning Shu would rather fight a free lawsuit than waste her time on such a thing. She didn't want to know what was going on between Chu Xiaoran and Xia Xiaoman. She didn't care, didn't want to know, and didn't want to know. Chu Xiaoran's face was gloomy and he frowned. As a businessman, his sharp senses told him that checking the accounts was a signal. He felt that someone was going to take action against him. However, Chu Xiaoran was still confident in his heart. In T-City, ordinary people couldn't shake him. Even the higher-ups didn't dare to touch him because there might be a riot in T-City's economy. Especially since he monopolized many industries, it would cause chaos in T-City in a short period of time. Chu Xiaoran was increasingly disgusted with this man called Su Wenlang. It was not only because of Xia Xiaoman's matter, but also because this man had a strong aura and seemed to have some background. Chu Xiaoran frowned. He had to come up with a plan. Recently, Ning Shu felt that someone was following her, as if she was being watched. Every time she tried to find this feeling, her eyes would disappear. Ning Shu felt that it should be Chu Xiaoran's men. Are they trying to kill me? Ning Shu felt that Chu Xiaoran was sometimes overconfident. If he was an ordinary person, he would be killed just like in the plot. Even if it was just a ripple, it would be over soon. However, her social status was different now. It was a kind of image that the government pushed in front of others. Especially since she still had to run the law firm, her death would have a certain amount of influence. Chu Xiaoran had been in T-City for too long and had forgotten who the land under his feet belonged to. Ning Shu walked into a small alley and waited for the person following her to appear. The person following Ning Shu was a man. This man had a valiant aura, and judging from the way he walked, he seemed to be a veteran. "Why are you following me?" Ning Shu asked. The man did not speak. He held a sharp blade between his fingers. It looked like he was going to cut Ning Shu's throat. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and took the initiative to raise his fist and punch the man. This man was probably a special forces soldier and was proficient in martial arts. He seemed to look down on Ning Shu and directly reached out to grab Ning Shu's fist. However, Ning Shu's fist knocked him back 2 steps. Only then did the man's expression become serious. He moved his neck, making cracking sounds, and said to Ning Shu, "You have some skills." Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and took the lead. He clenched his fist and punched the man's head, but in the other hand he took out a spray bottle and sprayed it at the man's eyes. The man's eyes were burning because of the sudden spray. It was so hot that his eyes seemed to be going blind. The man groaned and bent over to cover his eyes. Ning Shu clenched his fist and beat the man. Because of his eyes, although the man was on guard against Ning Shu, he was still beaten unconscious by Ning Shu. Ning Shu kicked the unconscious man and kissed the bottle. The pepper spray was really a good thing. It could achieve an unexpected effect. No one would expect that a man like Ning Shu would carry pepper spray. Ning Shu thought about it and was angry. This man was very ruthless and wanted to kill him. Ning Shu kicked the man's calf. Then he heard the sound of bones breaking. Ning Shu stomped hard twice. The man sat up in pain and wailed. He rolled his eyes and fainted again. His calf was swollen. In fact, Ning Shu wanted to kill this man, but after all, this was a society ruled by law. Even if it was dirty in private, as a lawyer, Su Wenlong's hands must be clean. It was the most basic principle and persistence. Su Wenlang probably didn't want to come back and become the person who had to bear a life in his hands. Ning Shu called Chu Xiaoran and asked him to come and take his man away. Otherwise, he would be sent to the police. Ning Shu didn't want to call the police, because there would always be someone to protect a veteran like him. Ning Shu would rather give Chu Xiaoran a warning. Chu Xiaoran had rushed over personally with a few bodyguards by his side. Chu Xiaoran looked at the unconscious man on the ground and then looked at Ning Shu. The corners of his mouth curled up. "I underestimated you. Chu Xiaoran, keep an eye on your dog. If there's a next time, he won't be here, but in prison," Ning Shu said indifferently. Chu Xiaoran waved to the bodyguards behind him, and they carried the unconscious man away. Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu and said, "Su Wenlang, I really admire you more and more. If it weren't for Xia Xiaomen, I really hope that you can work for me. You also know that it's impossible. How stupid would she be to work with Chu Xiaoran?" Her purpose was to take revenge and make Chu Xiaoran, who had taken advantage of her, have no hope of struggling. "You're a tolerant person. You even tolerated Xia Xiaoman's matter and disappeared for a period of time. You even hooked up with someone from the top." Chu Xiaoran narrowed his eyes, hiding the strong murderous intent in his eyes. Ning Shu smiled. He could hook up with someone from the top because she was of value to him. What she did just scratched his itch. However, Chu Xiaoran's existence was like a fishbone stuck in his throat. Ning Shu was just borrowing the wind. Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu condescendingly and turned to leave. Chu Xiaoran was too arrogant. If God wanted to destroy people, he would first make them go crazy. Ning Shu leaned against a big tree and enjoyed the shade. What made Ning Shu more amused was that Chu Xiaoran's company's tax evasion was widely reported by the media, causing the stock price of Chu Xiaoran's company to plummet. The morning, afternoon, and evening news came one after another. There were also financial newspapers. Chu Xiaoran immediately blocked the news and no longer reported this matter. Chu Xiaoran's power in T-City was not to be underestimated. However, Ning Shu knew that the higher he climbed, the more painful it would be to fall. During this period, Xia Xiaoman came to look for Ning Shu again, but this time, she did not say that she wanted to break up with Chu Xiaoran. Instead, she came to be the peacemaker between Chu Xiaoran and Ning Shu. Brother Wenlang, let this matter pass. It won't do you any good to fight with Chu Xiaoran like this. Chu Xiaoran is ruthless and powerful. Brother Wenlang, if you go against her like this, it will affect your future and career, Xia Xiaoman said to Ning Shu. Her face was full of worry for Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu really did not know what to say. What position did Xia Xiaoman have to make this request? Although Xia Xiaoman was speaking from her position, she was biased towards Chu Xiaoran. She was simply speechless. Not long ago, she came crying and said that she wanted to break up with him. Now, she was speaking up for Chu Xiaoran. Hence, he could not believe a single word that Xia Xiaoman said. If he did, it would be a tragedy. Chapter 517. Ning Shu really didn't know what Xia Xiaoman was thinking. She kept repeating the same thing over and over again. He couldn't understand what she was thinking at all. Wasn't this fun? In the storyline, Su Wenlang was ruined. Yesterday she was very sad. Today, she said that she couldn't let go of Chu Xiaoran. Ning Shu didn't know where Xia Xiaoman's bottom line and principles were. She was hurt by Chu Xiaoran partly because she gave in without principles. Ning Shu felt that it was quite sad for a person to live like this. However, Xia Xiaoman felt that this was a pain that had to be experienced in love in order to obtain happiness. Su Wenlang was so good to her, but he didn't want that kind of warm and gentle relationship. Why did he have to be so heart-wrenching and painful in love? Brother Wenlang, why are you looking at me like this? Xia Xiaoman saw Ning Shu looking at her like this. His sharp and unfamiliar eyes made Xia Xiaoman feel uneasy and she moved her body uncomfortably. Ning Shu casually retracted his gaze and said indifferently, "Did Chu Xiaoran ask you to say this?" Xia Xiaoman hurriedly waved her hand and said, "No, Chu Xiaoran didn't say this to me. I came here on my own accord. Brother Wenlang, I don't want you to fight to the death like this. I'll be sad if any of you get hurt." Ning Shu didn't say anything and just looked at Xia Xiaoman. He and Chu Xiaoran couldn't coexist. In the storyline, Su Wenlang died, but this time, it was hard to say. Xia Xiaoman didn't have the right to say these words in front of him. She betrayed Su Wenlang and even asked him to let go of everything and coexist peacefully with Chu Xiaoran. Scram as far as possible. Just looking at her made him feel suffocated. Xia Xiaoman, who was a selfish person in the name of doing good for others, especially when she was in love, was very annoying. Ning Shu had never hated a woman so much. He couldn't say that Xia Xiaoman was detestable. She was just a powerless woman who chose to resign to her fate in the face of harm. However, her actions would hurt those who truly cared about her and bring disaster to others. Yet, she was very tolerant of those who hurt her. If he wasn't sick, then what was? If Ning Shu encountered such a situation, he would definitely fight to the death instead of choosing to deal with this matter in such a way. More importantly, using threats and promises to make people compromise was a kind of harm in itself. Xia Xiaoman, has anyone ever told you that you are very cheap? Ning Shu was really annoyed with Xia Xiaoman appearing in front of him all the time and overdrawing her relationship with Su Wenlang. Does Chu Xiaoran know that you're here? Brother Wenlang? Xia Xiaoman was stunned. She couldn't believe that these words came out of the mouth of the gentle brother Wenlang. Xia Xiaoman's face turned purple. Anger and embarrassment filled her face. Her voice trembled. Brother Wenlang, do you know what you're talking about? Of course, I know. I'm saying. Ning Shu said word by word. Xia Xiaoman was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. She said angrily, Brother Wenlang, how can you say that about me? Brother Wenlang, you've changed. You wouldn't say such vulgar words in the past. I'm here to tell you these with good intentions. Why are you suddenly scolding me? Xia Xiaoman clearly hadn't recovered from the fact that Brother Wenlang scolded her. Her expression was full of anger and embarrassment. She sat opposite him and seemed to be sulking that she didn't want to talk to Ning Shu. Ning Shu smiled faintly. You're angry just because of this? If it were Chu Xiaoran now, would you be so angry? No matter how unbearable and vicious Chu Xiaoran's words were, you would still tolerate it. You're so angry just because I said something. Xia Xiaoman, you're just relying on my feelings for you over the years. Also, you betrayed me and appeared in front of me so righteously. Don't you feel embarrassed? Or do you think that I can only have you in this life and that I'll be waiting for you even if you turn around? Ning Shu didn't hold back at all. You're really thick-skinned. Xia Xiaoman's face was pale. She stared blankly at Ning Shu and bit her lips tightly. You're not Brother Wenlang. Brother Wenlang wouldn't say such things. Ning Shu was speechless. Scram, don't come looking for me in the future. If you still have a little bit of shame, don't come looking for me. Ning Shu felt that it was useless to say anything to Xia Xiaoman. In her heart, Su Wenlang was the warm and comforting man who could understand her difficulties and helplessness. Now that Ning Shu was acting a little worse, Xia Xiaoman, who was used to Su Wenlang's silent sacrifice, suddenly felt a sense of betrayal. Xia Xiaoman stood up, her face pale. She took a deep breath and said, Brother Wenlang, I know you hate me in your heart, but everything I did was to solve the problem. My original intention was not to hinder Brother Wenlang's career. It's very dangerous to go against Chu Xiaoran. I don't dare to do anything, but I don't want Brother Wenlang to get hurt. Ning Shu didn't even raise his head. Are you done? If you're done, please leave. Xia Xiaoman bit her lips and turned to leave. When she reached the door, she glanced at Ning Shu. Seeing that he didn't raise his head, Xia Xiaoman frowned and left. If you have any shame, don't come again next time. In fact, Xia Xiaoman didn't know that every time she came to look for Su Wenlang, she was increasing the danger for him. Would Chu Xiaoran be willing to see his woman find another man for no reason? Moreover, this man was Xia Xiaoman's old lover. He was definitely going to rekindle their old flame. Just in case, the best way was to make Su Wenlang disappear. Xia Xiaoman couldn't think of these and wouldn't think of these things. Sometimes, she even used Su Wenlang to provoke Chu Xiaoran. It was really frustrating to meet such a deceitful person. Chu Xiaoran raised a group of people who were probably specially used to deal with disobedient people. Ning Shu thought about it and also recruited a few security guards, who were all retired soldiers, to protect the people in the law firm. Chu Xiaoran was the kind of person who was high above and ignored the law. It was as if there was nothing he couldn't do. Everywhere he went, there would be people following him, as if he was an emperor. Ning Shu could only laugh at this. In fact, Chu Xiaoran was just a businessman. Why did he act as if he was the most powerful person in the world? He was so arrogant. He was so rich that he could rival a country, but he could only be slaughtered when he was fat. Chu Xiaoran wasn't strong enough to break away from the control of the land under his feet. Ning Shu could only take advantage of the situation. Ning Shu fought a lot of free cases, all of which were to help those who had no way to appeal. This made the reputation of the law firm rise. The newspapers reported that she was a philanthropist. The newspapers wouldn't report on her in an overwhelming manner. They would only appear occasionally in a slow and silent way. Overly exaggerated reports would only cause backlash and doubts. Ning Shu knew that this was the support of her supporters, and what Ning Shu had to do was to work hard and do what he should do. Chapter 5:18. Ning Shu was clear about his position. He was a chess piece that could be used to deal with Chu Xiaoran. Moreover, Ning Shu was willing to be this chess piece. Chu Xiaoran's actions had already crossed the bottom line of the authorities. Was it his job as a businessman to control the economy? Other than being busy with the matters of the law firm, Ning Shu would also take time to go home and visit his parents. However, every time Mother Su saw Ning Shu, the first thing she would do was to ask him to go on a blind date. Mother Su felt that her son was not young anymore. At most, he was already in his 30s. Many people his age had already become fathers. Moreover, her son's career was now considered successful and he could marry a woman who was better than Xia Xiaoran. Although Mother Su did not say it out loud, she still had some resentment towards Xia Xiaoran, especially when she saw that Ning Shu did not have a single woman by his side, not even a romantic partner. Mother Su felt that her son still had Xia Xiaoran in his heart. Ning Shu was sweating profusely. She wanted him to marry a woman? What a joke. He told Mother Su that he was trying hard to find a girlfriend and that he would bring her back once he found one. Then, he ran away as if he was escaping. Even so, he could not resist Mother Sue's enthusiasm. Every 2 to 3 days, she would ask Ning Shu to go home to see a woman, saying that she was virtuous and beautiful. She wanted Ning Shu to come home to take a look. Ning Shu was about to break down. It was better to wait for Su Wenlang to come back and resolve this matter himself. Ning Shu focused on his work. Xia Xiaoran did not look for him for a long time, probably because Ning Shu was too rude the last time. She did not call him either. Sometimes, when Xia Xiaoran attended banquets as Chu Xiaoran's female companion, she would look indifferent when she saw Ning Shu. She did not speak to Ning Shu, nor did she greet him. Even if she met his eyes, Xia Xiaoran would immediately look away. Xia Xiaoran's behavior was still sulking. She felt that this would make her feel uncomfortable and make her compromise. People would always love themselves, tolerate their own people, and be self-righteous. Chu Xiaoran gave Xia Xiaoman the cold shoulder because he felt that Xia Xiaoman couldn't leave him and couldn't leave him, so Xia Xiaoman compromised. Xia Xiaoman gave Ning Shu the cold shoulder because she felt that Ning Shu had her in his heart and should compromise for her. Ning Shu was a little surprised. Could it be that Xia Xiaoman wanted her to apologize? Ning Shu talked to the others and didn't even look at Xia Xiaoman. Even if Xia Xiaoman died in front of Ning Shu's heart wouldn't waver. Chu Xiaoran squinted at Ning Shu and pulled Xia Xiaoman over to Ning Shu's side. Xia Xiaoman was unwilling to go over and said, "I'm not going." Chu Xiaoran raised his eyebrows and tolerated Xia Xiaoman's willfulness. Obviously, Xia Xiaoman's action of avoiding Su Wenlang pleased Chu Xiaoran and made Xia Xiaoman wait for him there. "Lawyer Su." Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu and said, "You're the fastest person I've ever seen. You used to be just a small lawyer, but now you've become a government charity lawyer. You're quite good at currying favor. You appear in front of the public as a philanthropist, but I don't know what you're like behind the scenes." Ning Shu didn't take Chu Xiaoran's mockery to heart at all. Chu Xiaoran wanted to say that he had groveled to get to where he was today. "Actually, others don't care about what I'm like behind the scenes. Those who come to me for a lawsuit won't care because I can help them win the lawsuit. Those who need legal aid won't care about what I'm like behind the scenes because I can get justice for them without having to pay a huge price." Ning Shu said calmly, "I'm just doing what I should do. What's there to feel guilty about? What's there to feel uneasy about?" Chu Xiaoran's pupils constricted. Just as he was about to speak, the crisp sound of a glass falling to the ground could be heard, causing a commotion. Chu Xiaoran and Ning Shu turned around and saw that Xia Xiaoran's gown was covered in red wine. The wine was spreading down the white gown, and a beautiful woman was standing opposite Xia Xiaoran. At this moment, she was apologizing to Xia Xiaoran very insincerely. Ning Shu took a glance and looked away. "It's these jealous fights again. How boring." Chu Xiaoran walked over and took Xia Xiaoran downstairs to change her clothes. When Ning Shu saw this scene, he felt that Xia Xiaoran was like an overaged baby who would only be at a loss when faced with trouble and wait for the prince to save her. It was no wonder that she refused to leave Chu Xiaoran. She had developed a dependence on Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran was as cruel as a demon to her one moment, but he was gentle and romantic to her the next. Xia Xiaoran couldn't leave him no matter what. Xia Xiaoran used photos and videos to cover up this mentality, saying that she couldn't leave Chu Xiaoran because of the photos. Anyway, there were a lot of reasons. In short, Xia Xiaoran fell in love with the man who raped and coerced her. Ning Shu still followed the tax inspector to Chu Xiaoran's company to check the accounts. Now, the audit was more frequent, about once every 2 months. This situation was relatively unusual. The audit usually started at the end of the year, and the most frequent audit was once every 6 months. When Chu Xiaoran saw Ning Shu, his face was cold and cruel as he said, "Lawyer Su, you're really going against me. You're checking every 2 months. Do you still want my company to do business?" Ning Shu said with a smile, "Not only your company, but other companies will also be investigated. This is the order of the higher-ups. They want to investigate the tax evasion in the past few years." Chu Xiaoran pursed his lips tightly. Ning Shu took a sip of the coffee that his secretary had brought over and waited leisurely at the side for the audit. Chu Xiaoran looked at Ning Shu and said indifferently, "Lawyer Su, are you sure you want to go against me? Haven't we always been enemies? Ning Shu said calmly, "What are you talking about, President Chu? I don't understand." Chu Xiaoran sneered. "Some things are not as simple as you think. Or do you think a small lawyer like you can deal with me?" Ning Shu smiled. Chu Xiaoran could say such words, which meant that he was feeling guilty. Instead of saying it to her, he might as well say it to someone else. Ning Shu immediately took out a document because there were a few parts of the account that he did not understand. Chu Xiaoran glanced at Ning Shu coldly, took out a check, and said coldly to the tax inspectors, "How much this time?" Chu Xiaoran was a big shot in T-City. The tax inspectors were frightened by Chu Xiaoran's gloomy expression, and their hearts trembled a little. If Chu Xiaoran wanted to pursue the matter, they would not be able to bear the consequences. Ning Shu took over and said, "3 times. If you don't pay the amount, you'll be fined 3 times the amount." Chu Xiaoran's pupils constricted, and he pursed his lips tightly. In the end, he wrote down the amount on a check. He scratched the paper hard with the pen, and some parts of the paper were scratched. Ning Shu accepted the check graciously, then took out a document and said, "President Chu, this is the product price opinion. The prices of some products in your company need to be adjusted." Chapter 5:19. Chu Xiaoran's company had monopolized many industries, and the prices of the monopolized products were basically set by Chu Xiaoran. The products of Chu Xiaoran's company were more expensive, so the higher-ups had to adjust the prices. "Xiao Chu, I hope that the next time I come, your prices will have been adjusted." Ning Shu ignored Chu Xiaoran's sullen expression and said, "Xiao Chu, please adjust the prices according to the opinions." Chu Xiaoran calmly took the opinions and glanced at them before throwing them aside casually. He didn't seem to care about the opinions at all. Ning Shu smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Chu Xiaoran was free to do whatever he wanted. Chu Xiaoran's tax evasion was widely reported by the media. Other than Chu Xiaoran's company, there were other small companies, but they were all unknown and no one cared about them at all. More people cared about Chu Xiaoran's company. After all, it was such a large listed company. Besides, the report also requested Chu Xiaoran to adjust the prices of his products, especially the daily necessities. Chu Xiaoran tried to stop the news from being broadcasted, but it didn't seem to work. The media dragged on for a few days before finally stopping. Chu Xiaoran looked at the news on the LCD screen on the wall with a gloomy expression. He directly smashed the TV with the remote control, causing cracks to appear on the screen. Xia Xiaomen, who was at the side, was shocked and asked, "Chu Xiaoran, what's wrong with you?" Chu Xiaoran turned his head and looked at Xia Xiaomen. The malice and hostility in his eyes had yet to dissipate. When he looked at Xia Xiaomen, he seemed unusually evil and bewitching. Xia Xiaomen was frightened by his gaze. "It's all because of your old lover. He thinks that he has a backer and wants to compete with me." Chu Xiaoran's eyebrows were full of contempt. "He's taking revenge on me." Xia Xiaoman bit her lip. How should I explain this matter? She saw Chu Xiaoran's eyes darting up and down as he smiled sarcastically. Xia Xiaoman felt very tired. She felt that Chu Xiaoran was blaming her, but she was innocent. Chu Xiaoran had taken a photo of her when she was unaware of anything. Chu Xiaoran used the photo to threaten her. Because of this, she left Brother Wenlang, who treated her well, and endured it for various reasons. Chu Xiaoran blamed her, Brother Wenlang blamed her, and her parents said that she was an embarrassment. She had lost her virginity and had no dignity to stay by Chu Xiaoran's side. Xia Xiaoman turned around weakly and went upstairs. Chu Xiaoran stood up and walked over to Xia Xiaoman. He looked down at her and said in a sharp and cruel tone, "Why? Do you want to return to your ex-boyfriend's side now that he has made a comeback?" Xia Xiaoman's expression became even more pained. Her voice trembled as she said, "You clearly know that this is impossible. Why are you still saying such things? Chu Xiaoran, can you stop hurting me?" Chu Xiaoran pursed his lips and hugged Xia Xiaoman. He moved closer to Xia Xiaoman's ear and said sinisterly, "If I find out that you and Su Wenlang are still together, I'll kill Su Wenlang. Su Wenlang died because of you." Xia Xiaoman shivered and looked up at Chu Xiaoran in a daze. She said, "Chu Xiaoran, why are you always so despicable? Since when did I want to stay together with Brother Wenlang?" "Brother Wenlang? You're calling him so intimately, Chu Xiaoran said coldly and bent down to pick Xia Xiaomen up. Xia Xiaomen was so shocked that she hit Chu Xiaoran in a panic. Chu Xiaoran, you beast. I didn't satisfy you, so I made you think about other men. I let you know who your man is, the man who owns you, Chu Xiaoran said coldly. Xia Xiaoman's face was so red that it was unbearable to look at. Chu Xiaoran looked at the shy Xia Xiaoman and a trace of tenderness flashed across his eyes. Ning Shu had been paying attention to Chu Xiaoran's movements. However, Chu Xiaoran did not take any action since the last time he gave the price adjustment opinion. He also did not see Chu Xiaoran issuing any instructions to adjust the price of his products. Ning Shu was a little stunned for a moment. Does Chu Xiaoran really not care, or does he have a backup plan? Ning Shu gave Chu Xiaoran a call and asked him to hurry up and adjust the price. Chu Xiaoran directly blacklisted Ning Shu, and Ning Shu could not get through to him at all. Ning Shu was not angry at all about this. He just wanted to see who could outcompete the other. Ning Shu was not in a hurry since Chu Xiaoran did not take any action. Anyway, the pressure was concentrated on Chu Xiaoran. No matter what Chu Xiaoran did, his arrogance would be affected. If the price was lowered, it would definitely harm Chu Xiaoran's interests. If he did not do so, it would be a provocation to the authorities of T-City. Chu Xiaoran was now a fat pig, and it seemed that he was going to climb over the pigsty soon. What else could he do other than slaughter him? Not long after, Chu Xiaoran held a press conference. During the press conference, Chu Xiaoran directly said that some products would no longer be produced because the cost was too high. However, the price had to be adjusted, and the price was too low after the adjustment. Hence, they could only stop production. Chu Xiaoran's release of the bomb caused panic among the people because Chu Xiaoran had monopolized many industries. If the production was stopped, some necessities would be gone. It caused a frenzy among the people, and the entire economy of T-City was in turmoil. As the number of products decreased, the atmosphere became increasingly tense, and there were even many violent incidents. Ning Shu looked at the chaotic T-City and really admired Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran's behavior was a provocation to the authorities. If you want to adjust the price of my products, I'll make T-City chaotic. What gave Chu Xiaoran the confidence to provoke them and go against the authorities? Chu Xiaoran was courting death. T-City was in chaos for several days, and the authorities did not let Chu Xiaoran take action. Instead, they bought products from other channels to make up for the lack of products. With the influx of these products, Chu Xiaoran would no longer be able to monopolize certain products. Previously, with Chu Xiaoran around, it was difficult for products from other places to enter T-City. Basically, the shops in T-City were all products from Chu Xiaoran's company, and it was almost mandatory. Chu Xiaoran wanted to stir up chaos in T-City's economy, but in the end, the authorities brought in products from other places. It was a matter of who could outplay the other. The authorities stabilized the people's emotions, but Chu Xiaoran was not in a good mood. Now, the market in T-City was filled with similar products that were cheaper than his. Chu Xiaoran was very confident that once he took action, it would cause economic turmoil. However, the current situation made Chu Xiaoran feel awkward. Most importantly, his position as the hegemon of T-City's business was being threatened, and he no longer had the advantage of monopolizing certain products. A monopoly would lead to huge profits. Chu Xiaoran felt that he had fallen into a trap. This was a conspiracy against him, and no matter what he did, he would be weakened. Su Wenlang. This man is really gutsy. Chapter 520. The reason why Chu Xiaoran did this was because he couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to see the consequences of taking action against him. The turmoil in T-City's economy was caused by Chu Xiaoran on purpose. Secondly, he was used to being the most dominant person in the industry and had people following him wherever he went. Why would he listen to you when you asked him to change the price? However, Chu Xiaoran did not expect that the authorities would not look for him or compromise with him. Chu Xiaoran could only wipe his face and feel extremely annoyed. Besides, the products mentioned in the news could no longer be produced according to the agreement. Not only did they lose their monopoly on a few products, but they could no longer be produced? This was a blow to Chu Xiaoran. Chu Xiaoran was now stuck in a dilemma. If he moved forward, he would not know what was waiting for him. If he retreated, the strength of his company would drop too much. He would be surrounded by vicious dogs who wanted to pounce on him. Chu Xiaoran was furious. He had been schemed against by an ant. No, it was the authorities. They thought that they could defeat him by pushing an ant against him. That would make T-City's economy go into complete chaos. Chu Xiaoran put all of his products into the market at half of the original price, which was much cheaper than the products that entered T-City's market. It was a price war now. Chu Xiaoran did not care about the cost and lowered the price to squeeze out other products. In any case, Chu Xiaoran was currently suppressing his anger. Ning Shu could only say that if God wanted to destroy a man, he would first make him go crazy. What Chu Xiaoran did was to hurt his enemy and go against the authorities. It would be strange if they would let him go. Chu Xiaoran wanted to use the price to crowd out similar products. However, not long after, it was revealed that the products produced by Chu Xiaoran contained toxic substances. Then, a series of experts seriously explained on the media what the toxic substances would do to the human body. It would cause irreversible damage to the heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys. The people followed blindly. When they heard those experts say that none of them bought Chu Xiaoran's products, they avoided them as if they were poison. Ning Shu sent a lawyer's letter to Chu Xiaoran, asking him to stop the production of these products and remove them from the market. Chu Xiaoran lost his monopoly on these products and lost the right to produce them permanently. His certificate had also been revoked. There are too many ways for the higher-ups to mess with you. The authorities had given Chu Xiaoran an opinion on the price adjustment. If Chu Xiaoran had listened to them and adjusted the price according to the opinion, there wouldn't have been so much trouble. Although the profits would be less, there would still be some. However, Chu Xiaoran was unwilling to do so. Since you look like you want to overturn the heavens, then you can only wait to be suppressed like Sun Wukong. When Chu Xiaoran received Ning Shu's lawyer's letter, he was so angry that he tore it into pieces and rubbed his forehead. During this period of time, Chu Xiaoran's lips were blistered and he was under a lot of pressure. The board of directors questioned his ability to deal with the crisis. Chu Xiaoran just wanted to kick these people down the stairs. In the past, they didn't even dare to say a word and would smile when they made money. Now, they had the guts to come out one by one and criticize him. The company's share price was like a bungee jump. All the shareholders who owned Chu Xiaoran's company's shares were selling them like crazy. However, they couldn't sell them just because they wanted to. It was a waste of money. There were even some crazy shareholders who came to Chu Xiaoran's company to cause trouble. Chu Xiaoran rubbed his swollen forehead and leaned against the chair with his eyes closed. No one knew if he was asleep or if he was thinking about serving her. When Xia Xiaoran entered the office, she saw Chu Xiaoran who was resting with his eyes closed. He looked exhausted. Xia Xiaoran's heart ached and she put down the pot of soup. Chu Xiaoran heard some movement and opened his eyes to see Xia Xiaoran. She was wearing a dress, revealing her fair and smooth calves. Her face was rosy and there was a look of joy between her eyebrows. "I've stewed some soup for you. Have some." Xia Xiaoran poured a bowl of soup for Chu Xiaoran and handed it to him. "Have some." Chu Xiaoran took the bowl and glanced at Xia Xiaoran. He asked, "Why are you here? What's the matter?" A smile immediately appeared on Xia Xiaoran's face. She touched her lower abdomen and took a deep breath. Just as she was about to say something, Chu Xiaoran took a sip of the soup and threw the bowl onto the table, causing the soup to spill out. Xia Xiaoran was stunned. Chu Xiaoran looked very impatient and said angrily, "What soup is this? It's so fishy. What are you doing here at the company? Can't you stay in the villa if you have nothing to do? Why are you running around? Can't you see that I'm busy?" Chu Xiaoran was very annoyed now and anything could be a reason for him to vent his anger. Chu Xiaoran was not the kind of person who would endure for others. Even if the person in front of him was Xia Xiaoran, Chu Xiaoran would not tolerate it. Xia Xiaoran's face suddenly turned pale. She had come to tell Chu Xiaoran the good news that she was pregnant. Even though Xia Xiaoran did not pay attention to Chu Xiaoran's company, she knew about his situation recently. Something had happened in the company and Xia Xiaoran knew that Chu Xiaoran was very anxious. The miscarriage 3 years ago made Xia Xiaoran pay a lot of attention to her health. Her period was already half a month late. She checked herself and found that she was pregnant. Xia Xiaoran was afraid that it was not safe, so she went to the hospital for a checkup. After confirming that she was pregnant, Xia Xiaoran was both happy and worried. She wanted to do something that would make Chu Xiaoran happy at this time, but she was not sure if Chu Xiaoran would like this child. Xia Xiaoran's heart trembled when she saw Chu Xiaoran's cold and impatient face. She hurriedly picked up the bowl and asked, "Is it fishy?" Xia Xiaoran took a sip and immediately covered her mouth, almost vomiting it out. Her stomach was churning. Chu Xiaoran became even more impatient when he saw Xia Xiaoran's reaction. "Why are you still bringing me the food that you vomited from? Don't just stand here. Go back, I'm very busy with the company." "But, Chu Xiaoran, I have something to tell you," Xia Xiaoran said. She was still beaming with joy previously, but now her face had turned pale. "I'm busy. Let's talk about it later. Get out." Chu Xiaoran was now like a lion that was locked in a cage. He was moving around restlessly in the cage, but there was no way for him to escape. Xia Xiaoran was frightened by Chu Xiaoran's appearance. She staggered twice and her face turned pale. She felt extremely miserable. Chu Xiaoran did not welcome the arrival of this child at all. He did not even give her a chance to speak. "This is our child." Xia Xiaoran was at a loss and sad. She covered her lower abdomen with her hand and looked at Chu Xiaoran with a hurt expression. Chu Xiaoran was already burning with anxiety. Now that Xia Xiaoran was still looking at him with such a bitter face, Chu Xiaoran felt very annoyed. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "I told you to go back. What are you waiting for? You should come to the company. Xia Xiaoran, don't challenge my patience."